let's start the plenary session. And once again, for those who haven't, please take your seats. A draft agenda for this meeting has been distributed. Are there any objections on the draft agenda? I don't see so. The agenda is adopted. And as you can see on our agenda, we are delighted to be joined by the President of the Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe. She's not here. Where is she?
She'll be here later.
She will come later. She's not here ready. So I meet this. And then, is this relevant?
Yes.
Yes. And then I would like to say we have not foreseen a question and answer session for President Pasquier, but colleagues can raise relevant issues during the general debate later today and tomorrow. We will also be joined later with the President of the Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe, Ms. Lilian Morais-Pasquier. And we will as well be joined by the Chairperson in Office of the OSCE and Minister of Foreign Affairs of Slovakia, Mr. Miroslav Lajčák, as well as the OSCE Secretary General, Ambassador Thomas Greminger. As usual, following addresses by Minister Lajčák and Secretary General Greminger, you will be able to ask questions. And now let's go further on to the consideration of supplementary item. And I will give the floor to Ms. Naima Landry, who is chairperson of the ad hoc committee on migration. But before that, we start. Please make sure that you have the correct version of the amendment sheet. The cover page should have a reference ending with the word revised, and Amendment 3 should read, or the foreigner request it. And by this, I will give the floor to Ms. Lanier. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Ms. Chairperson. Allow me to speak in French. Vos Excellences, chers présidents, chers collègues, dans son discours sur l'état de l'Union en septembre 2007, le président de la Commission européenne, Jean-Claude Juncker, souligna que lorsque seulement 36% des migrants en situation irrégulière sont renvoyés, il est évident que nous devons considérablement intensifier notre effort et notre action en la matière. C'est seulement de cette manière que l'Europe pourra faire preuve de solidarité à l'égard des réfugiés qui ont réellement besoin de protection. Nous nous trouvons au sein d'une profonde réorientation de la politique migratoire visant à promouvoir les retours. Les afflux vers l'Europe étant largement en baisse depuis 2015, la priorité de l'Union européenne est désormais d'accroître le taux de retour effectif des migrants en situation irrégulière au pays d'origine ou de transit. Cependant, alors que le nombre d'assignations a quitté le territoire de l'Union européenne entre 2008 et 2018 est resté plus ou moins constant aux alentours d'un demi-million par an, le nombre de retours effectifs stagnait à seulement 200 000 par an, étant même en baisse durant les dernières années. De plus, les statistiques officielles n'indiquent pas si ces retours sont durables. C'est pourquoi la Commission européenne a décidé de revoir la directive de retour adoptée en 2008 qui définit les normes et procédures communes applicables dans les États membres. Et c'est dans ce cadre, chers collègues, qu'une délégation de la Commission ad hoc pour la migration de l'Assemblée parlementaire OSCE s'est rendue à Bruxelles le 2 avril pour des briefings avec la Commission européenne, le Parlement européen, et ceci pour avoir un état actuel des propositions pour améliorer l'efficacité des retours. Nous avons aussi rencontré des représentants d'organisations internationales gouvernementales et non gouvernementales, afin de connaître leur position et discuter des principes généraux qui devraient guider à une politique de retour non seulement efficace, mais aussi humaine. Nous avons profité de cette occasion pour en apprendre aussi plus sur la politique en matière de retour en Belgique. Et nous avons visité un centre fermé qui, depuis presque un an, comprend aussi des unités familiales de détention, mais cela seulement pour une durée très limitée, pour des familles avec des enfants mineurs. Nos discussions à Bruxelles ainsi que le travail préalable de la commission ad hoc sur l'intégration et les visites en Suède, au Danemark et en Belgique nous ont motivés à rédiger ce projet de résolution dont nous débattrons tout à l'heure. Je tiens à remercier les membres de la commission ad hoc pour la migration ainsi que tous ceux qui ont soutenu le projet de résolution et les auteurs des 3 amendements proposés. Je tiens aussi à souligner que la problématique de retour est d'actualité, non pas seulement dans les pays membres de l'Union européenne, mais aussi dans tout l'espace de l'OSCE. Reconnaissant les problèmes liés aux migrations massives et les décisions difficiles qui doivent être prises, ayant conscience de la nécessité de rendre la politique en matière de retour plus efficace, ce projet de résolution exhorte les États participants à adopter et mettre en œuvre une politique de retour durable, digne et efficace. Le projet de résolution met en avant un certain nombre de recommandations afin d'atteindre cet objectif. En même temps, il souligne l'importance de poursuivre des politiques d'intégration globale pour faire en sorte que les personnes auxquelles est accordé le droit de séjour soient pleinement intégrées en vue de construire des sociétés inclusives tant au bénéfice des migrants qu'aux sociétés d'accueil. Voici certains éléments de la résolution pour une politique de retour efficace et humaine. Tout d'abord, les personnes n'ayant pas droit à l'asile doivent être retournées avec dignité et dans le plein respect de leurs droits et libertés fondamentaux et du principe de non-refoulement. Le droit international interdit le renvoi d'une personne vers un pays dans lequel elle risquerait d'être exposée à la torture, des traitements inhumains ou dégradants, où sa vie ou sa liberté serait menacée. Vu les conditions actuelles en Libye, nous devons nous poser aussi sérieusement la question de savoir si on peut y renvoyer des migrants. Les retours devraient être basés sur le principe du retour volontaire si possible ou forcé si nécessaire. En effet, les retours volontaires sont non seulement plus dignes, ils sont aussi moins chers et lorsqu'on apporte une assistance à la réinsertion, ils sont aussi plus durables. Ce projet de résolution appelle alors aussi aux États participants à amplifier leur soutien aux programmes de retour volontaire assisté et de réinsertion, tels que ceux de l'Organisation internationale pour les migrations. Un certain nombre de recommandations concernent les mineurs et on demande dans la résolution qu'on mette immédiatement fin aux pratiques de séparation de famille et à l'expulsion des parents sans leurs enfants. Il demande aussi aux États de toujours mettre en œuvre des mesures alternatives à la détention et dans le cas des mineurs non accompagnés et de donner aussi la priorité à ces mesures dans le cas des familles avec enfants mineurs. Il exhorte en outre les États à envisager de prolonger le délai de départ afin de permettre aux enfants de terminer l'année scolaire. Le projet de résolution souligne l'importance d'assurer un lien clair entre les décisions en matière d'asile et les procédures de retour en informant rapidement les demandeurs d'asile déboutés du résultat de leur demande ou de leur recours et en les informant clairement des conséquences de cette décision et des options offertes. Il réitère son appel aux États d'harmoniser leur liste de pays d'origine sûrs pour lesquels des procédés d'asile accélérés et des mesures de renvoi rapides sont appliquées. Finalement, il souligne l'importance d'adopter des systèmes efficaces de suivi des retours afin d'assurer que le principe de non-refoulement a été respecté, ainsi que la nécessité d'une évaluation plus efficace des retours en recueillant des données ventilées sur les retours forcés et les retours volontaires et sur la viabilité des retours. Le projet de résolution appelle aussi aux États à faciliter la participation multipartite aux politiques d'intégration sur le marché du travail et à promouvoir la participation des pouvoirs publics à tous les niveaux, notamment celle des administrations locales, et ceci à la conception, à la mise en œuvre et à l'évaluation des politiques d'intégration. Il encourage aussi les États participants à s'inspirer des exemples de bonnes pratiques et d'utiliser l'exemple du Bureau des institutions démocratiques et des droits de l'homme de l'OSCE dans ce domaine. En conclusion, chers collègues, permettez-moi de faire référence au thème de cette session en citant l'objectif de développement durable numéro 10 sur la réduction des inégalités et en particulier le cible numéro 10.7, faciliter la migration et la mobilité de façon ordonnée, sans danger, régulière et responsable, notamment par la mise en œuvre de politiques de migration planifiées et bien gérées. Un élément indispensable pour atteindre cet objectif est une gouvernance efficace des migrations fondée sur la promotion des sociétés inclusives et de retour dignes. Je fais donc appel à vous, chers collègues, à l'Assemblée pour adopter ce projet de résolution. Je vous remercie pour votre attention.
Thank you very much, Ms. Landry, for your presentation of your report. And now I will open the floor for the debate, and there are 4 speakers on the list. And I will first give the floor to Mr. Frederick Asupardi from Malta, and after him it's Mr. Mehmet Said Kirasoglu from Turkey. Please, Mr. Frederick Asupardi, the floor is yours. And I would like to say that the speaking time is 3 minutes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The number of migrants returning to their countries of origin has increased, as has the diversity of actors and complex challenges involved in the successful return. While some countries return to a welcoming context and reintegrate smoothly, many face challenges that they cannot overcome on their own, and thus need to be supported in order to reintegrate positively and effectively. We are aware that some countries of origin do not have the infrastructure, services, and capacity to support their citizens to lead fulfilling lives, including returned migrants. In other countries, returned migrants coming home empty-handed suffer from long stigmatization for what is perceived as their failure. The provision of reintegration assistance from host countries to migrants, both prior to their return to their home countries and afterwards, is an essential element to ensure the sustainability and returns. Additionally, as parliamentarians, we can support countries with significant immigration to develop adequate policies and structures which address the specific needs of their nationals once they return. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Asupardi. And now I will give the floor to Mr. Kirasoglu from Turkey. And after Mr. Kirasoglu, it's Ms. Heidi Fry from Canada. And Mr. Giraguslu, your floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I thank the principal sponsor for tabling this draft resolution, Chair of Ad hoc Committee, Ms. Plenary, and her team. Thank you. Today, Turkey is the largest refugee hosting country. We are home to more than 5 million people, including 3.6 Syrians. 18 March deal has contributed to the sharp decline in irregular crossings towards the EU. Thanks to this deal, loss of lives minimized, migrant smuggling networks curbed, and we managed to decrease irregular migration by 98%. Overall, in the last 3 years, our efforts have generated a deterrent effect more than 2 million irregular migrants to reach Europe. While assuming this heavy burden, we also expect our partners to fulfill their commitments emanating from the very same 18 March statement. EU should spend more effort to deliver its promises, the visa liberalization for our citizens, voluntary humanitarian admission schema, and financial assistance to Syrians on the ground are still not completed. Turkey believes that a human rights-based, coherent, and comprehensive migration policies, as well as offering migrants and asylum seekers legal channels to enter and stay in destination countries and integration measures, are crucial. Responsibility belongs to all participating states, and this burden should be fairly shared. There is also a need for fighting more with racism and xenophobia and consolidating the common human rights culture and embracing the diversity of cultures and religions. It is also of great significance to prevent the negative discourse against migrants and asylum seekers that has the potential to feed radical tendencies. Madam Chairperson, the return of refugees in Syria should go hand in hand with the progress in the political process. Returns have to be safe and voluntary, based on legal guarantees and in line with international law. This process has to be coordinated with the UN. Priority should be given the return of IDPs and to the prevention of new displacements inside Syria. We need to focus more on preparing the conditions that could facilitate returns. We can start with efforts to improve the humanitarian infrastructure. Instead of a conditional and sequential approach, we should adopt a more dynamic position on reconstruction that moves parallel to the political track. Lastly, we observe a sharp increase in the number of irregular migrants through our land border. The number have risen. Half of these people are
Please
Turkish.
conclude.
Okay. Half of these people are Turkish citizens escaping from the law. The participating states should stop its welcoming attitude towards Turkish citizens leaving our territory illegally. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kiragoglu. And now I will give the floor to Ms. Heidi Frey from Canada, and after Ms. Heidi Frey, it's Lord Dubs from United Kingdom. By this, Ms. Heidi Frey, the floor is yours. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm a member of this ad hoc committee, and I wanted to congratulate our chair for an excellent essay. It reflects a lot of the things that we talked about, but I just wanted to pinpoint about 3 things that I think we should be aware of. One of the things that the committee was seized with very much was the idea of unaccompanied minors. What and how do we keep them safe? What and how do we deal with them when they are unaccompanied? But then, on the other hand, there are minors who are within families, and we felt very strongly that these children should not be separated from their families, that it was inhumane to do that, and that it was therefore important for us to look at places where there were unaccompanied minors or children in families and expedite the ability to go through to find out if they were going to remain, to limit the amount of detention time that these children have. But the most important thing we were concerned about was separating children from their families and of finding a place, if they did not have families, in which they could stay with people that would care for them while we are awaiting decisions for them. Nor to send parents home and leave their children back in the country to which they have emigrated. I think that is a really important piece I wanted to highlight, and I think it's reflected in the SI, but I also think that it was something that we felt was important. Integration, as we heard, of migrants was really important, and we shouldn't forget to note the economic benefit of many migrants who are trained and who are skilled and who can help countries, I know, like in Canada, with certain labor shortages in certain areas where we need people to work. And so I think those are important things I wanted to speak to. But I think I just wanted everyone to consider the plight of children or unaccompanied minors, because I think that this is a really important piece that we needed to look at, because these children would be extremely vulnerable to all sorts of abuses and exploitation. And also the inhumane treatment of having them away from their parents and having not a place for them to sleep or to stay or to have some kind of dignified way of feeling safe and needed and wanted and cared for. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Heidi Frey. And the last speaker is Lord Dubs from United Kingdom. The floor is yours, please.
Thank you, Chair. Can I immediately acknowledge the part that Heidi Fries played and very much support her comments on unaccompanied children. I should also like to acknowledge the part that Turkey, Lebanon, Jordan, Germany and Canada have played in welcoming refugees. I think this should go acknowledged, given the way Europe and other countries are closing their doors. The basic principle is that nobody should be returned unless it is totally safe for them to return. It's absolutely fundamental, and a breach of that is a breach of basic human rights principles and, of course, of the Geneva Convention. It is important when asylum seekers are awaiting a decision that they don't have to wait too long. Of course, there should be a fair determination process, but sometimes making people wait in a state of uncertainty with fewer rights than they ought to have is very, very damaging to their human rights. And indeed, certainly in the UK, we have limitations on the right to work. They have to be in the UK for a year, and that is a long time when people want to make their contribution to society and make their way. We have to be very careful about the use of detention for asylum seekers and migrants. It should only be a matter of the last resort, and migrants and asylum seekers should never, never be detained along with criminals. But above all, we should hardly ever use detention at all. Could I support the comment made by the Chair on Libya? What we hear about the situation in the detention camps there is appalling. And even if people have fled as economic migrants across the Sahara, by the time they've been detained in virtual captivity, they are already in danger of their lives, and we have to be very careful before we consider returning anybody to Libya. Could I pay a tribute to the chair of the Migration Committee? I've had the privilege to serve on that committee for some years, and also to Farima Dafri, the staff member, who's made sure we do our work and we do it expeditiously. I fully support this resolution.
Thank you very much, Lord Dubs. And by this is the speakers listed ended, and I will give the floor to Ms. Landry to respond. The floor is yours, please.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I would like to respond briefly. I do agree with what has been said by the different colleagues of Malta, Greece, Canada, and also the United Kingdom. It's really important. It's also in the resolution to work on programs of return, but to work also on programs of reintegration in the home countries. So that's very important, and we need therefore to work, to cooperate with the countries of our region to make readmission cooperations also. For Greece, I've heard also, no, it was, Turkey, that it was important also to facilitate the returns in cooperation with the country of origins. Mrs. Fry, I also agree with you that the separation of children should be you never have to allow the separation of children with their parents, and that's also why it's a very important part of the resolution. There is a paragraph also underlining this, that children should not be separated from their parents, and unaccompanied minors should be never been detained. And even if they are with their parents, and if it's necessary, detention, like Lord Dubb said, it should be a measure of last resort. So I do agree with what has been said by different colleagues here in the Assembly. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Ms. Lanry. And now it's time to vote on supplementary item number 17. And we will do it paragraph by paragraph, and on the 3 amendments to it which have been tabled. I remind members that under Rule 22 of the Rules of Procedure, the only members who may speak are the mover of the amendments or another member in favor, 1 member opposed, and the principal sponsor of the supplementary item, and in this case, Ms. Lanry. No, thank you. Speeches on the amendments will be limited to 1 minute. And now we will start with amendment number 1, and it's to amend the language in paragraph 1, and I will call Mr. Kiragoslu to move the amendment. Please, do anyone wish to? Yes. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. We would like to add this sentence to the paragraph number 1 because security concerns of transit and destination countries are among the significant issues when it is about mass migration. They must be acknowledged as well as challenges and difficult decisions. Besides, it should also be considered that mass migratory moves usually includes organized crime such as human trafficking. Therefore, it is found appropriate to mention. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kiragoslu. Is there anybody who wants to speak against the amendment? No one? Nobody? Then I will give the floor to Ms. Lanry to comment.
Yes, we have talked also about this amendment in our ad hoc committee, and there was also a discussion about not having this as could be interpreted as an excuse, and that's why I propose, I understand the concerns of Turkey, but that's why I propose an oral amendment having 3 words added in the paragraph 1, and it is as follows: acknowledging the challenges, including security concerns associated with mass migration for countries. So then we have the concern, I think, of our Turkish colleagues, but we see it as one of the challenges we are confronted with.
Thank you very much, Ms. Lanry. And now, I didn't see that there were...
No, we need to do...
Yes, and now we have to go further on, and we now have an oral sub-amendment to amendment number 1. Under paragraph 10 of the Rule of 22, the Rules of Procedure, an oral amendment may only be considered if there is an unanimously agreement among members present. Does anyone object to allowing the oral submit to be considered? I can't see so. There is no objection. And now yes. Yes, thank you very much. We will now vote on the oral sub-amendment to amendment number 1. But where is the amendment? It's 3 words that are included. Yes, it was the one that was here. Yes. So now we will vote for the sub-amendment to the amendment number 1. Those in favor, please raise your cards. Yes, and now we will vote on those against. Please raise your card. And those who abstain, please raise your card. Thank you. You can take down your card. And the result is that 124 delegates voted in favor. No delegates voted against, and 2 abstentions.
4.
No, it says 2 here. 2. And
as changed by the oral amendment.
a few seconds and then I will return.
That amendment has amended.
Thank you very much for your patience. We had a small discussion here because we voted now first on the sub-amendment. It was the oral sub-amendment to amendment number 1. And by this, the oral sub-amendment to amendment number 1 is adopted. So we have to go further on to the amendment number 1 and do a vote again. And this means that those who are in favor of the amendment number 1
As changed.
is changed. I hope everybody is with me. The amendment number 1 is changed. Please raise your card. Thank you. And now, those who want to vote against the amendment number 1 is amended. Please raise your card. Thank you very much. And now it's time to vote on the amendment.
No, it's abstentions.
Yes, it's the abstentions. Those who abstain, please raise your card. If you abstain on the as amended. No abstention. 3. Thank you very much. The result is 108 vote in favor, 2 vote against, 3 abstain. And now, I'm sorry, but we have to vote one more time because that's in the rules. And now we have to vote on paragraph number 1 as amended. So I please ask you to raise your cards to vote in favor. And the next is those who vote against. Please raise your card. Abstain. Those who vote abstain, please raise your card. So, 6. And the result is 112 in favor, 0 against, abstain 6. The paragraph number 1 as amended is adopted. And now we will move on to paragraph 2 to 13 of the supplementary item. As there is no amendment, I will first ask you if we can take them in all. I could see that you agree on this. There is no objection. So please, if you are in favor to adopt number 2 to 13, raise your card. It's done.
Margareta, point of order. Margareta, she doesn't. Yeah, point
of order, please.
Yep.
Yes.
Sorry for that, but we in the committee discussed a little bit paragraph number 9. There is a word welcoming adoption of a global compact of safe, orderly, and regular migration. But as you know, not all countries adopted it. Poland, Hungary, Slovakia, Czech Republic, United States of America, even in my Lithuanian parliament we had big discussions. Our proposal was in the committee not welcoming adoption, but noting adoption. Could we vote for that?
Yes, but I asked if there was anybody who had an objection, and I didn't hear anything.
So, okay, we are late a little bit, but...
No,
But
so
it's
we
important.
have to go further on here and follow the procedure. So, and I also asked Ms. Landry here if you have any. We have to go further on because Ms. Landry said that it was not adopted, and I asked for the floor and nobody raised the voice. And now we are voting on the paragraph 2 to 13 to adopt. If you are in favor of adopting them, you vote yes. And if you are against adopting it, you will vote no. And if you want to abstain, you abstain. And now we have just voted those who want to adopt. And it's counted. Yes, thank you. And then we will vote those who vote against the adoption. Please raise your hands. The card up if you want against. If you don't want to adopt them. One, two. Done. And those who abstain, please raise your card. And those who have voted against, you can take your card down. Those who abstain, raise your card. And the result is 110 voted in favor, 7 delegates voted against, and 6 abstain. The paragraphs are adopted. And now we have come to amendment number 2 to add a new paragraph after paragraph 13. And I will call Mr. Mirkishili from Azerbaijan, who will present amendment number 2. The floor is yours, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We thank Ms. Larry for submitting these supplementary items for our considerations. We propose to add a new paragraph after the paragraph 13, which we believe will further strengthen the language of the resolutions. Let me explain the rationale behind this proposal. Indeed, mass flow of migrants frequently creates transborder, political, economic, social, and humanitarian consequences and require effective immigration policies. However, prevention of the root cause of migration is equally vital and necessary. Let me remind that in 2016, New York Declaration on Refugees and Migrants has mentioned that over 68 million persons are displaced persons, of which over 40 million is displaced internally. Therefore, the call for elimination of circumstances that cause mass flow and displacement of persons should be addressed in the current resolutions. I called all debates to support this amendment, which will add value to language of the text. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mirkishili. And now I ask if there is anybody who wants to speak against the amendment. Raise your card, please. I can't see that there is anybody who wants to speak against the amendment. And then I will call Ms. Landry to make a comment. The floor is yours, please.
I'm also in favor of this amendment. It completes the text. I agree with it.
Thank you very much, Ms. Landry. And now we have to vote on the amendment number 2. And I would like to ask those who vote in favor of amendment number 2 to raise your card. Yes. Thank you very much. And now I ask those who want to vote against amendment number 2 to raise your card. Votes against. None. And those who want to abstain on amendment number 2, please raise your card. And the result is 113 voted in favor of the amendment number 2, 0 voted against amendment number 2, and 4 abstained. This means that amendment number 2 is adopted. And then I would like to add that the new paragraph does not sit very well in its current place, and I will therefore suggest to the Lord Bones that the drafting committee move it to the end of the paragraph 34. And by this, I would also like to just welcome Secretary General Thomas Greminger from OSCE. Mostly welcome.
And Madam Pasquier is
Her name. And also, Madame Liliane Marie Pasquier, President of the Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe, has also arrived. Mostly welcome, Madame. And then we have to continue our voting procedure, and we will move further on to the paragraph number 14 and to 17 of the supplementary item. Is there any objection to handle them together? Please raise your card if you are against. None. Then I would like to ask you, those who vote in favor of the paragraph 14 to 17, please raise your card. Thank you very much. You can take down your card. And now those who vote against, please raise your card. No. Abstain. Those who abstain, paragraph 14 to 17, please raise your card. Uh, 125 voted in favor, 0 voted against, 6 abstain. I find that paragraph 14 to 17 is adopted. And let's move further on. We have now come to amendment number 3 to amend language in paragraph 18. And I will give the floor to Mr. Kyragosoglu to move the amendment. The floor is yours, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We like to add this sentence to the paragraph number 18 because return procedures of the foreigners who decide to return voluntarily are initiated and concluded as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kyragosoglu. And now I ask if there is anybody who wants to speak against the amendment number 3. I don't see that anybody wants to speak against amendment number 3, and I will give the floor to Ms. Landry to comment. The floor is yours, please.
I would like to thank the colleagues of Turkey for their amendment, saying also that persons who want to leave earlier should be having the possibility to leave earlier. But I would like to have an oral amendment because the word foreigner is not the right word. It must be here irregular migrants, because of course you can also have foreigners in your country but with a permit to stay. So we are not talking about persons with permits to stay but only about irregular migrants. So if you agree with this amendment, oral amendment, we could also of course accept your amendment.
Yes, we agree.
Thank you very much, Ms. Landry. And did I hear that Mr. Kyragoslu agreed to Ms. Landry's
We agree.
oral amendment? Yes. So this means that there is only one amendment. And now we have to vote on the amendment number 3 as presented. Those who vote in favor of amendment number 3, please raise your card. Ready? Thank you. Now we can take down your card, and I will ask those who want to vote against amendment number 3, please raise your card. Over there. Please take down your card, and those who want to abstain, please raise your card on amendment number 3. Thank you. And the result is 110 voted in favor, 5 against, 8 abstainers. And this means that the amendment is adopted. And after this, we have to vote on the paragraph number 18 as amended. And I would like to ask you again to vote. And those who vote in favor as the amended paragraph number 18, please raise your card. Yes, and then it's those who abstain on the paragraph 18 as... Against, I'm sorry. Those who vote against, please raise your card. Against the paragraph number 18. And those who abstain on the paragraph number 18, please raise your card. And we have a result. 105 voted in favor, 3 voted against, and 3 abstained. The paragraph number 18 as amended is adopted. After this, we will have to vote on paragraph number 19 to 34 on the supplementary item. Is there any objection to vote on the paragraph number 19 to 34? I don't see so. And to make it a little bit easier this time, I say that the paragraph, no, I did only ask if there was one, but then I have to ask you, those who vote in favor of paragraph 19 to 34, please raise your card. Result?
Against.
And now I ask you to take down your card, and those who vote against, raise your card, please. Who vote against the paragraph number 19 to 34. It's okay, thank you. Then we can take down your card, please, and any abstains. We have a result. 122 voted in favor of paragraph 19 to 34, 0 no, and 5 abstentions. The paragraph number 19 to 34 is amended. Adopted, yes. And now we have to vote on the whole supplementary item. And as amended. It's a lot of steps here, but this is the final one. And I ask you who vote in favor of supplementary 17 as amended as a whole, please raise your card. Yes, and now I ask, please take down your card, and I ask those who vote against supplementary items number 17 as amended, please raise your card if you vote against. Thank you, and now the last is any abstentions, please raise your card. The result is 118 yes, 0 no, 7 abstentions. The supplementary item number 17 as amended as a whole is adopted. And by this, I say thank you, and I will give the floor to our president, Mr. Turatelli. Thank you very much for your patience.
Well, dear colleagues, let's continue our session, our plenary. Thank you very much, Margareta, for your good work, and of course, our ad hoc committee and other members who contributed to this resolution for this very important, let's say, document that we adopted now. So now we'd like to offer you to move to the point 3 in our agenda. As it was already announced, we have guests today. We have just entered the hall, Chairman in Office, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Slovakia, Mr. Lajcik. Just would like to greet you, Mr. Minister. Mr. Thomas Greminger, our Secretary General, with us. And we also have as a guest speaker today the President of Parliamentary Assembly of Council of Europe, Ms. Liliane Moore-Pasqueur. And I'd like to ask President of Parliamentary Assembly of Council of Europe to take floor. You are here. Yeah, I think so.
Monsieur le Président, Monsieur le Secrétaire général, Monsieur le Ministre, Mesdames et Messieurs, mes chers et chers collègues, c'est un grand honneur pour moi d'intervenir aujourd'hui devant l'Assemblée parlementaire de l'OSCE. L'Assemblée parlementaire du Conseil de l'Europe, que j'ai l'honneur de présider, entretient des relations de coopération solides avec votre Assemblée, car nous partageons beaucoup de choses. Nos assemblées sont des organisations fondées sur des valeurs, celles qui sont à la base de la Convention européenne des droits de l'homme et de l'acte final d'Helsinki. Nous poursuivons les mêmes objectifs: préserver la paix, promouvoir le dialogue entre les gouvernements et les parlements, faciliter les contacts entre nos concitoyennes et concitoyens, afin de bâtir ensemble un espace de paix, de sécurité, de démocratie, de droits humains et d'état de droit qui s'étend de San Francisco à Vladivostok. Nos deux institutions sont les bras parlementaires des organisations intergouvernementales, le Conseil de l'Europe et l'OSCE, qui sont aujourd'hui les grands piliers du multilatéralisme dans l'hémisphère nord. Aujourd'hui, alors que les mécanismes multilatéraux de coopération internationale sont de plus en plus remis en question, nous ne devons pas sous-estimer l'importance du rôle que nous jouons. C'est pour toutes ces raisons qu'il est tout à fait naturel qu'une de nos priorités soit la mise en œuvre des objectifs de développement durable. Ce thème est au cœur de votre session plénière. Il est aussi une priorité d'action de l'Assemblée parlementaire du Conseil de l'Europe. Dans ce contexte, permettez-moi de suggérer quelques idées pour alimenter les débats sur la base d'un rapport récent de notre Assemblée sur le rôle des parlements dans la mise en œuvre des objectifs de développement durable. Premièrement, nous devons promouvoir l'acquis normatif en matière de droits humains, d'institutions démocratiques et d'état de droit développés en Europe, en tant que cadre de référence et de modèle pour une réglementation globale. De nombreuses conventions élaborées dans le cadre du Conseil de l'Europe sont des outils innovants et uniques, comme par exemple la Convention sur la prévention et la lutte contre la violence à l'égard des femmes et la violence domestique, la Convention d'Istanbul, la Convention sur la protection des enfants contre l'exploitation et les abus sexuels, la Convention de Lanzarote, ou encore la Convention du Conseil de l'Europe sur la lutte contre la traite des êtres humains. Ces instruments internationaux sont ouverts aux États non membres et peuvent donc servir de cadre de référence pour tous les États membres de l'OSCE. Les mécanismes de suivi établis par nos conventions fournissent des critères objectifs et des indicateurs mesurables qui, dans de nombreux cas, s'appliquent aussi aux objectifs de développement durable. Ainsi, nous pouvons recenser les domaines où des progrès ont été réalisés, mais aussi identifier des difficultés éventuelles. Deuxièmement, la mise en œuvre des objectifs de développement durable est un processus multi-acteurs. En tant que représentantes et représentants élus de nos concitoyennes et de nos concitoyens, nous entretenons un lien direct avec la société civile, les organisations professionnelles, les autorités locales et régionales. Les parlements nationaux sont donc des relais importants pour assurer l'inclusivité du programme 2030. Nous devons participer activement aux structures de coordination dans nos pays respectifs, mais aussi au niveau international. Nous devons contribuer aux examens nationaux volontaires tout en encourageant les parlementaires à faire partie de nos délégations nationales à l'Assemblée générale des Nations unies afin de prendre part aux discussions internationales. Troisièmement, nous devons mettre l'accent sur des dossiers transversaux comme par exemple l'égalité entre femmes et hommes, un objectif transversal du programme 2030. L'égalité entre femmes et hommes est l'un des défis communs qui nous appartient de relever. Sur le plan personnel, c'est un sujet qui me tient particulièrement à cœur, car il est le fil conducteur de mon engagement politique et l'une des priorités de ma présidence. Le sexisme, le harcèlement et la violence envers les femmes sont une conséquence directe de l'inégalité. C'est pour prévenir et combattre ce fléau que le Conseil de l'Europe a élaboré la Convention d'Istanbul que j'ai déjà mentionnée. Toutefois, pour combattre le sexisme et la violence qui en découlent, nous devons aller encore plus loin. Il y a bientôt un an, l'Assemblée parlementaire du Conseil de l'Europe a lancé une campagne mot dièse « Pas dans mon Parlement », #NotInMyParliament. Notre objectif est de sensibiliser les parlementaires et les fonctionnaires, toutes celles et ceux qui travaillent au sein des parlements, aux phénomènes de sexisme et de harcèlement, afin de les éradiquer définitivement de l'enceinte parlementaire. Dans ce contexte, je compte sur votre soutien pour diffuser cette initiative, sachant que de plus, nous pouvons bien évidemment l'étendre à d'autres secteurs, finalement à tous les lieux d'activité, en utilisant d'autres mots dièses, d'autres hashtags, par exemple, pas dans ma ville, pas dans mon bureau, pas dans mon organisation. Mesdames et messieurs, mes chers et chers collègues, je terminerai cette intervention en évoquant le sujet de la diplomatie parlementaire. En effet, nos assemblées respectives ne sont pas uniquement des instances de coopération internationale au sens strict. Ce sont aussi des lieux de rencontre, d'échange et de dialogue. Ceci est particulièrement important dans le contexte actuel de la crise du multilatéralisme. Nous devons donc faire en sorte que nos assemblées puissent pleinement jouer leur rôle de plateforme de dialogue parlementaire entre les élus et les élus de tous nos États membres. Comme vous le savez, durant les 5 dernières années, le Parlement de la Fédération de Russie n'a pas participé aux travaux de l'Assemblée parlementaire du Conseil de l'Europe. Nous nous souvenons toutes et tous des origines de cette crise, l'annexion illégale de la Crimée et le conflit dans l'Est de l'Ukraine. En 2014 et en 2015, notre Assemblée a exprimé une position politique ferme et claire. Cette position reste inchangée et nous continuons à défendre les principes du droit international auxquels nous sommes toutes et tous attachés. En même temps, nous pensons que le dialogue est le moyen le plus efficace de rapprocher les positions et de régler les différends. Le manque de dialogue risque non seulement de créer une impasse politique, mais aussi de compromettre l'efficacité de nos outils de protection des droits humains de toutes les personnes vivant sur notre continent. En se basant sur ces considérations, notre Assemblée a pris la semaine dernière, à une large majorité, la décision de ratifier les pouvoirs de la délégation russe sans limiter les droits de représentation et de participation de ses membres. Nous pouvons donc de nouveau travailler avec des collègues russes, y compris sur les dossiers qui posent problème, car la ratification des pouvoirs n'est pas un chèque en blanc. Nous avons ainsi adressé aux autorités russes plusieurs demandes concrètes, notamment celle de libérer les marins ukrainiens détenus suite à l'incident dans le détroit de Kertch, de coopérer avec le groupe d'enquête international sur la destruction du vol MH17 de Malaysia Airlines et de garantir l'accès aux mécanismes de suivi du respect des droits humains sur les territoires où la Russie mène des opérations. Nous comptons sur la pleine et entière coopération de la Russie sur tous ces dossiers et je vous tiendrai informé à la prochaine occasion de l'avancement de nos travaux, en espérant pouvoir compter, mesdames et messieurs, sur le soutien et la participation active de toutes les personnes de bonne volonté à toutes les actions susceptibles de favoriser le dialogue et la résolution des conflits. Je vous remercie de votre attention.
Thank you very much, dear President, for your, I think, very insightful intervention here. We appreciate your call to keep dialogue, and this organization is based on this principle. We understand that it was really very controversial, last event you just touched upon, and you elaborated on this. But also very important, you know, when we are fulfilling agendas of SDGs or other important international goals, I think most important in an organization like OSCE or PEACE to preserve all the principles that we have in those organizations that we are based on. That's very important. And when it comes to different types of reactions on that, of course, nothing could substitute dialogue, nothing could substitute peaceful continuation, but dialogue also should be resulted in tangible things, and it's not only to gain time. So we think that result-oriented dialogue, it's very important, and of course to feel responsibility that you are breaching principles of the organization, that should be reaction, and that will be reaction on that. That's very important. I think we will continue close cooperation on many issues with you, and once again, thank you being today with us as a guest speaker. Thank you. Now, dear colleagues, as I announced already, we have as a special guest, and it's our honor to welcome Chairperson in Office of the OSCE, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Slovakia, Mr. Miroslav Lajčák. I would like to say that we have really exceptional cooperation with the chairmanship. We appreciate all the support. It's a good coincidence that Mr. Lajčák here, who's chair of the OSCE, and of course he's very well aware about all the problems around this region, but he also been a president of General Assembly of the UN, and he's also very well aware about sustainable development goals. So I think it will be very interesting to hear Mr. Lajčák, and dear Miroslav, floor is yours. Please.
Thank you very much. Dear President Tsereteli, dear President Pasquier, dear Speaker Edgen, Secretary General Greminger, Excellencies, distinguished parliamentarians, ladies and gentlemen. We had the opportunity for an exchange during your winter session in Vienna, and I'm very glad to be with you again. The topic you set for this session, advancing sustainable development to promote security, is both timely and urgent, as well as old and well established. The first is felt mostly as we aim and sometimes struggle to bring to life the Agenda 2030 and its sustainable development goals. The SDGs are bold, they are visionary, they are transformative, and they are urgent. But they did not come together overnight. In fact, groundwork had to be laid for years. And a major part of this began, I believe, in 1975 with the Helsinki Final Act, and hence my second point. Because that was the very beginning of what we now know as a unique feature of the OSCE, its comprehensive approach to security. When diplomats and dignitaries met in Helsinki, they acknowledged that security could not be viewed in a vacuum. They knew that they would need to focus on more than just tanks, artillery, and military positions to bring about lasting peace and security for people in the region. Instead, they looked around and they saw that security challenges are both prevented and exacerbated by many other issues, from trade and economic development to the protection of the environment and the promotion of human rights. Today, the OSCE, through its field operations, autonomous institutions, and secretariat, continues to be active in both stable countries and conflict settings. It has its own expertise, its own prevention toolbox, its own local knowledge, and it can, I believe, uniquely contribute to achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. And you, parliamentarians, have an important role to play. An increase in funding to schools, efforts to boost the participation of women in local governments, observing elections. These are the kind of activities that parliamentarians are participating in on a daily basis. They are not always labeled as Goal 4, quality education, Goal 5, gender equality, or Goal 16, effective institutions. But they are examples of SDGs brought to life, thanks to the work of the OSCE. And your perspectives and lessons learned are so crucial to the process. Because, as I told you back in February, you are the link between the OSCE and the people it serves. You inform and inspire the work of our organization. And back then, I also spoke about the 3 priorities the Slovak chairmanship has set for ourselves for this year. It's 1, conflict prevention, 2, safer future, and 3, multilateralism. Well, we are at halftime, and this is an opportunity to reflect on the work done, but also on the challenges ahead. So let me take a few moments to do just that, while focusing on links between development and security. So to start with our first priority, preventing and resolving conflicts and mitigating their impacts on people. In the past 6 months, I visited all OSCE field missions, and what I saw was a mixed picture. Situation that filled me with hope, such as political leaders working hand in hand with the OSCE, young people of different backgrounds, religions, and ethnicities building democracies together, or vibrant civil societies. But at the same time, I could not overlook examples of despair. No bridges, no electricity, no phone connection. These images need to keep us alert. We, the parliamentarians, politicians, and policymakers are the ones expected to act, expected to help. We cannot simply wait for progress to happen. So while our chairmanship focuses on supporting solutions agreed at the negotiating table, we are also working on concrete measures aimed at improving the lives of people caught up in the midst of crisis. Or to put it bluntly, retaining focus on the big picture should not blind us to the urgent and real needs of people on the ground. So for example, in Ukraine, I have put forward 9 concrete confidence-building measures that should alleviate negative consequences of the crisis. We are actively supporting all initiatives to repair the Stanica-Luhanska bridge so that people can cross to collect their pensions, to see their loved ones, or to get medical care needed. And though we might not headline our efforts as Goal 9, resilient infrastructure, or Goal 3, good health, such steps for the betterment of the life of people contribute to advancing development and hence promoting security. Of course, all our efforts would be empty without necessary political engagement of the actors on both sides of the bridge. And in this context, I have welcomed recent disengagement of heavy armory on both sides. After President Zelensky's extraordinary success in the last presidential elections in Ukraine, we must use this window of opportunity to encourage further progress. But recently there have also been situations when I had to express my concerns, as was the case on crossing point closures over the Nguri in Georgia. And here, the situation is clear. Every restriction brings hardships for local populations. Every separation from family or land brings anguish. Every conflict stops people from realizing their potential. And it is precisely why the OSCE is here, to help to prevent these scenarios. Moving forward means that we need to rediscover the OSCE prevention tools. That's why I'm looking forward to welcoming the high number of fellow foreign ministers from the OSCE participating states in Slovakia tomorrow for an informal gathering. We will discuss the role and the relevance of the OSCE in future prevention efforts and how to better use the OSCE's niche in fostering stability in Europe and beyond. When it comes to our second priority, safer future for all, we realize that our societies are different from what they were 44 years ago when our organization was founded. Today we need to lead dialogue on topics unimagined just a few decades ago. And while we must use our existing tools and practices, we need to keep our eyes open to see and to seize new opportunities. And this means also spotting ways how to advance the SDGs, like SDG 16 on peace, justice, and strong institutions, by promoting the security sector, governance, and reform agenda. To do so, we started a whole process of 3 regional workshops feeding into a special conference on the topic in September. Or SDG 5 on gender equality, by promoting gender mainstreaming and greater participation of women in OSCE efforts. And just last Friday, our chairmanship organized a workshop on promoting the role of women in addressing environment and security challenges. But if we are serious about the sustainable development, we need all parts of society to contribute. There are 1.8 billion people between the age of 10 and 24. We have the largest generation of youth in history, and we need to hear their voices and take them into account. So our chairmanship, together with the OSCE Secretariat, is organizing a youth forum in October in Bratislava to strengthen our exchange. And we must be able to listen to their ideas, views, and perspectives, to inspire and be inspired, to build the resilience to violent ideas and behavior. That's why our chairmanship organized several conferences, encouraging real discussions on topics with serious security implications, ranging from countering radicalization to security in cyberspace. And we will do our utmost to assist the organization so that proper discussion on human dimension commitments among 57 participating states, the well-known human dimension implementation meeting, could take place. And here I cannot but repeat, political will is crucial. Our third and last priority is about effective multilateralism. Multilateralism, partnerships, cooperation. That's the DNA of the OSCE. Unfortunately, we are seeing trust and multilateralism eroding all over the world. At the beginning of our chairmanship, we set a task for ourselves to do utmost to revive the OSCE's partnerships with other multilateral actors, to allow us to create more spaces for sharing and exchange. I personally engaged with the United Nations, European Union, Council of Europe, and NATO. And we spoke very concretely about adjusting our cooperation frameworks. But we can also benefit from more dynamic partnerships within, to use our diversity and broad membership to our advantage. Because, like it or not, from Vienna to New York, we cannot always be confident that we have our fingers close enough to the pulse, which is why we need to also hear from you, the parliamentarians. You can best connect OSCE to its people. You come from all parts of the region. You know the reality, the worries, and the needs of people. You can best see sustainable development in action, with every new school open, every new medical device safeguarded, every forest cleaned up. Your perspectives allow the OSCE to improve its own contribution to the implementation of Agenda 2030. And they give us all valuable food for thought and practical examples which can be replicated and strengthened as we go forward. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's continue working together towards achieving these noble goals. I thank you for your attention.
Thank you, dear Chairman in Office. I think it was important to hear from you again about your commitments and dedication to all the priorities and the work you are doing. And I think in this Parliamentary Assembly we're following, how actively you are working in this position, the pace of your work, and you're really trying to make difference in this challenging times. Be sure that strength of this Parliamentary Assembly, which is a pillar of the OSCE, which is, I think, a backbone of this organization, is strength for you too, and I think it's very important to keep those contacts and close cooperation, and thank you very much for your support we feel here. Now, dear friends and colleagues, I'd like to ask our Secretary General of OSCE, Ambassador Thomas Gremingen, who's been a very active and close partner for our Assembly, for parliamentarians. And at the outset, I'd like to say that we created in the last several years, I would say, excellent working relations with Permanent Council, and we hope that it will be resulted in implementation of the documents, resolutions, discussions, deliberations, and results of that which we are providing to the executive branch. So, dear Thomas, thank you for being here, and the floor is yours.
President Tsereteli, Minister Lajczak, Secretary General Montella, distinguished members of the OSCE Parliamentary Assembly. I'm honored to be here with you for the PA's annual session. I think time has come to better align the work of regional organizations in the framework of the Agenda 2030, and also to give more prominence to OSCE activities that support the implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals. So I'm very pleased about the choice you have made to dedicate this year's annual session to sustainable development and security. As parliamentarians, you play an important role in supporting SDG implementation by passing laws, by allocating financial resources, and by holding governments to account. And also by raising awareness and exercising leadership on issues that determine our common future. I see your manifest interest in today's topic as an encouragement to conduct a more systematic assessment on how the OSCE contributes to SDG implementation. So let us build further momentum on this issue. We have also paid attention to this topic in Vienna. Less than a month ago, I organized an OSCE Security Day event to explore how the OSCE connects to Sustainable Development Goals. And particular attention was paid to Goal 13 and the link between climate change and security, and obviously Goal 16 on peace, justice, and strong institutions. Listening to some of the speakers was a real eye-opener. The challenges are overwhelming, and we can only hope to tackle them if we all pull together. Across the board, there was a clear sense of urgency to see implementation accelerate. The vast scope of OSCE activities that contribute to the SDGs became very clear. We also heard views from a cross-section of OSCE executive structures. And I'm very grateful to the chair of the second committee, Nilsa de Sena, for adding a parliamentary perspective to our discussions. So, what follows from this? I would like to make 6 very quick points. First, we should systematically map our SDG-related activities. This way, we can brand our everyday programmatic work in line with Agenda 2030. We can also highlight how it supports OSCE participating states to implement SDGs. Second, this mapping should be done in a non-selective way, all 17 SDGs are important. At the same time, we have to understand that certain areas for engagement are more relevant than others and do deserve a closer look. For instance, OEC's role in supporting implementation of SDG 16 on peace, justice and strong institutions clearly falls into that category. Third, the role of the OEC as a platform to bridge global and national implementation should be accentuated. The SDG framework presents an excellent opportunity to share our unique experiences and to learn from best practices in other regional organizations. Fourth, our partnerships should also extend to civil society actors, to development organizations, and to the private sector. This is essential to achieving synergies and to develop a common understanding towards SDG implementation. Fifth, gender equality, which is SDG 5, is key. We are already well positioned through our efforts to integrate a gender perspective in everything we do and our role in promoting women's economic empowerment. But clearly, more needs to be done. Finally, I strongly believe in finding a constructive way to addressing climate change and security at the OEC. As Secretary General Guterres recently put it, and I quote him, "The effects of climate change are outpacing our efforts to address it," end of quote. I think we should, in the OEC, not get hung up over whether there is a direct link between climate change and conflict. Instead, we should build an OEC mandate that focuses on prevention and adaptation to the many adverse effects of climate change on security. Or, to put it differently, and in even simpler terms, assess the impact of climate change on security and help participating states to address them. Distinguished members of the OEC Parliamentary Assembly, the crisis in and around Ukraine remains high on the OEC agenda, as Miroslav Lajčák, the chair in office, has just confirmed. The conflict continues to affect populations on the ground, directly affecting the lives of many and still causing civilian casualties, including death. The recent presidential election in Ukraine provides an opportunity to insert new momentum into the efforts to restore peace and security to Ukraine. And I'm encouraged by a number of positive signals, including reinvigorated discussions in the Trilateral Contact Group over concrete proposals. An excellent example is the agreement on the 26th of June in Minsk to commence disengagement in Staniska Luganska. This very positive development sends a strong message and could pave the way for further steps, including for the repair of the Staniska Luganska bridge, where every day more than 10,000 people cross. So, distinguished members of the PA, we are lately witnessing some promising trends, but we cannot afford to be complacent. We need to use these opportunities to change the dynamics both at the political level and on the ground. And I welcome plans to hold a new N4 meeting soon. The OEC will continue to offer its support to the sides in finding a way forward in Ukraine through the discussions in Minsk and with the tireless efforts of our special monitoring mission to Ukraine. Ladies and gentlemen, the OEC also offers a rare venue where inclusive dialogue on political military issues is still possible. A key process is the structured dialogue. A vital area is enhancing transparency in military activities. Voluntary measures of notifying and briefing on exercises below notification threshold, especially those close to borders, and especially SNAP exercises, can lead to reciprocity. The modernization of the Vienna document, the most important confidence and security building measure in the OEC area, remains the ultimate goal. The good news is that incremental progress is still possible, at least in some areas. Take, for instance, incident prevention and incident management, and risk reduction. Capitals play a particularly critical role in this data-driven process. And I believe that you, parliamentarians of the OECD region, can help us further involve all participating states in this process. Another increasingly important topic is how security is also affected by rapid technological change. And I hope that the OECD eventually becomes a platform for meaningful dialogue on the link between technology and security. For example, if we could create a framework to encourage responsible uses of artificial intelligence, this would reduce risks and increase its benefits. Ladies and gentlemen, the greatest challenge I see as Secretary General for the OECD is building a stronger sense of common purpose among participating states. This organization has the potential to be the forum for meaningful dialogue and cooperation between the East and the West. To be successful, political will is key. But an authentic commitment to the organization also implies providing sufficient human and financial resources to it. The zero nominal growth policy is not sustainable and jeopardizes the ability of the OECD to cope with the many current risks to our common security. If we want to prevent new crises before they emerge, if we want to create trust and de-escalate existing tensions, we need a strong organization, and I count on your support to convey this message. We also need a common understanding of what is at stake. It is absolutely essential to overcome increasing difficulties among participating states in adopting simple housekeeping decisions. Housekeeping decisions like adopting conference agendas, like approving budgets on time, like appointing auditors for the organization, or agree on simple IT updates. Routine decisions should be discussed at the technical level and not politicized. In conclusion, I would like to express my gratitude to President Serratelli and Secretary General Montella for the excellent relations that the Secretariat maintains with the OECPA at all levels, really at all levels. And of course, congratulations, dear Roberto, on your reappointment by the OECPA Standing Committee. And I would also like to stress our full support to the Slovak chairmanship with the informal ministerial council just a day ahead of us. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, dear Secretary General. Dear Thomas, we really appreciate your thoughts you shared with us. We have this common work, we have common agenda. You rightly mentioned that we have close cooperation, and it's needed in those times, especially we will understand all the complexity of the work and a package that you are dealing with, having this consensus rule also in the Permanent Council, but that's your, let's say, job, that's our work, and we have to unite our efforts. We are parts of this organization, and I think only with united efforts we can move on and we can make difference and achieve results, which is a main demanded request of our people, of our voters, our citizens. So thank you very much for cooperation, and thank you also for mentioning work of our Secretariat, Roberto Montella, Francesco, Andres Notelle, all our Vienna office. They feel at the Permanent Council the place where they have good partners, and it's prerequisite for effective works and results. Thank you. And now, dear colleagues, we have now the short quick question and answer session. with Chairman in Office and Secretary General. We already closed our speakers list, our colleagues who requested questions. There's 4 of them. And first it will be Margareta Kennan-Ninen from Switzerland, followed by Mr. Junila from Finland.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le Président. Chair in Office, Secretary General, President of the Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe, ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, I have recently conducted a human rights monitoring mission to eastern Ukraine, up to the front line, not beyond, by default of authorization, whose activities and recommendations are contained in a report recently published by our OSCE Parliamentary Assembly. Our mission served the purpose of bringing visibility to the engagement of our PA in addressing the consequences of the ongoing war from a humanitarian perspective, with a special focus on ceasefire, disengagement, demining, exchanges of prisoners, internally displaced persons, freedom of movement of civilians, missing persons, and lacking accountability for killings and violent deaths in Maidan and Odessa. Permit me to ask you the following questions. What are you and what is the OSCE concretely doing now to facilitate and speed up the much-needed repair of the destroyed bridge of Stanica Luhanska, to avoid this physical torture which we were able to experience ourselves on 1st of June of this year when we were there with our mission? Has the disengagement of the Stanica Luhanska area, as agreed by the sides back in 2016, been fully disengaged? And what are prospects for further disengagements along the contact line, notably for the areas of Petrivske and Zolote? These are my questions on Ukraine, and my humble opinion after having studied this area, after having been there 4 times between December 18 and June 19, I dare to say there is not enough priority and there is not enough weight by everybody to stop this war. We are all children of war. We are all children or grandchildren of World War II and other wars in our OSCE area, and citizens are tired of wars. I permit another last question, of course. You stressed, thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and also Secretary General, et aussi Madame la Présidente de l'Assemblée parlementaire du Conseil de l'Europe, you all stressed gender equality. And my concrete question to the Chair, the OSCE Action Plan for the Promotion of Gender Equality is 15 years old. It dates of 2004. Do you think that under your chairmanship and the head of the 20th anniversary of the adoption of UN Security Council Resolution 1325, there is still a momentum in 2019 to update this key document? I thank you very much in advance for your answer, and I appreciate all endeavors what you have been doing on the 2 issues which I have addressed. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now our Finnish colleague, please, floor is yours, Wilhelm Junila, please.
Thank you, Mr. President, dear Chairperson in Office, the Secretary General, respected colleagues. I have a question for Mr. Lajčák. I really appreciate the pragmatic position of Slovakian parliament regarding terrorism and especially immigration. You have previously said there doesn't have to be a uniform solution for each country regarding immigration, which I strongly agree with. Terrorism, however, goes way beyond that. As the special representative for the Slovak OSCE chairmanship, Lukas Paricek has said, actions of violent extremists and tragic acts of radicalized individuals have become a virus infecting our societies, harming people and hindering peaceful development. As you know, the supplementary item 6 passed in the first committee earlier today, and I would like to hear your opinion about this resolution, your views on the challenges related to returning and relocating foreign terrorist fighters, and how the OSCE should accelerate these efforts in the near future. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, of course, we will collect all the questions. Leonid Slutsky, Russian Federation, followed by Mr. Chubarov, Ukraine.
Спасибо, господин Церетели. Прежде всего, хотел бы поблагодарить действующего председателя ОБСЕ Мирослава Лайчика, с которым мы хорошо знакомы по предыдущей сессии Генеральной Ассамблеи ОБСЕ. Недавно встречались в Москве. Спасибо, Мирослав. И генерального секретаря организации Томаса Гремингера за выступление. Уже завтра начинается министерская неформальная встреча в Высоких Татрах, и уверен, что нашу позицию разделит и министр иностранных дел России Сергей Лавров, который будет принимать в ней участие. Вместе с ней хотел бы обратить ваше внимание на все возрастающую пропасть между подходами организации и ее парламентской ассамблеи к самым ключевым вопросам, которые стоят сегодня на повестке дня организации. Сегодня впервые за всю историю после Второй мировой войны международная организация, а именно парламентская ассамблея ОБСЕ, отклонила проект внесенной Россией резолюции по борьбе с агрессивным национализмом и неонацизмом. Мы чрезвычайно рискуем, если отклоняем проекты документов, посвященные отрицанию героизации нацизма. Вместе с тем, я хочу обратить внимание, что мы рискуем повторить ситуацию, которая возникла несколько лет назад между Комитетом министров и Парламентской ассамблеей Совета Европы. Здесь присутствует председатель Парламентской ассамблеи Совета Европы Лилиан Мари Паске, которая приложила огромные усилия к тому, чтобы этот конфликт был разрешен, и российская делегация вернулась к полноформатной деятельности в Совете Европы. Мы не должны повторить на площадке Организации по безопасности и сотрудничеству в Европе в сегодняшнее непростое время подобную ситуацию. В связи с этим я просил бы вас воздействовать тем инструментарием, который имеется в вашем распоряжении, на парламентскую ассамблею. Надо усилить сотрудничество между институтами организации, усилить сотрудничество с парламентской ассамблеей, с тем, чтобы члены парламентской ассамблеи верили 8 докладам смешанной мониторинговой миссии, которые, в частности, говорят правду о том, что на юго-востоке Украины никогда не было тяжелого вооружения, исходящего из России, а вся проблема заключается в том, что разведение сил, к сожалению, это главный принцип Минских соглашений, нарушается именно и только со стороны Киева. Кроме того, совершенно игнорируется право, заложенное в статье 1 Устава Организации Объединенных Наций о праве наций на самоопределение применительно к Абхазии и Южной Осетии. Во всем и везде обвиняется Россия. Это недопустимый подход, и сейчас, к сожалению, мы должны просить, чтобы те конструктивные подходы, которые существуют в самой организации, проецировались на площадку парламентской ассамблеи. Мы просим вашего содействия и заявляем о нашем желании сотрудничать максимально плотно и серьезно с организацией и всеми ее институтами, но ситуация в парламентской ассамблее, начиная с сегодняшнего отклонения проекта резолюции о героизации нацизма, вызывает наши самые серьезные вопросы и просил бы уделить этому самое пристальное внимание. Спасибо.
So we have two more speakers, and of course you can, in a written form, send it to the chairman in office, even now, chairman in office of Secretary General, who will be Mr. Chubarov and Mark Pritchard, and we will then ask our distinguished guests to answer questions. Thank you.
Уважаемый господин действующий председатель, уважаемый господин генеральный секретарь, на каждой из ежегодных сессий нами принимаются очень правильные, выверенные документы в отношении оккупированных Российской Федерацией Автономной Республики Крым и Севастополя. В этих документах отражается угрожающая ситуация с правами человека в Крыму, особенно в отношении крымско-татарского народа, коренного народа Крыма и этнических украинцев. У меня к вам, уважаемые господин действующий председатель и господин генеральный секретарь, достаточно простой вопрос. Что мешает институциям ОБСЕ, в частности специальной мониторинговой миссии ОБСЕ, посещать временно оккупированной Российской Федерацией Крым, чтобы на месте изучить ситуацию, посетить места лишения свободы, где сидят крымские политзаключенные, посетить семьи крымских татар, где более 200 детей остались без своих отцов, и таким образом наметить конкретные меры по реализации тех решений, которые мы принимаем. В своем выступлении уважаемая председатель Парламентской ассамблеи Совета Европы госпожа Лилиан Море-Паске с очень большой радостью говорила о том, что наконец-то полномочия российской делегации Парламентской ассамблеи Совета Европы восстановлены. Она сказала это с радостью, потому что она предвкушает диалог. А диалог, по ее разумению, поможет решать вопросы. Я хотел бы у вас спросить, господин действующий председатель и господин генеральный секретарь. У нас в нашей организации полномочия российской делегации не продлевались ни на 1 час с момента оккупации Крыма. Что мешало вам? Что мешало вам установить диалог с Российской Федерацией, чтобы Российская Федерация покинула украинские территории, чтобы нам деоккупировать Крым? Что мешало нам все вместе осуществлять диалог с Россией для того, чтобы прекратить войну, развязанную Российской Федерацией против Украины? Я буду очень рад, если вы оба ответите на эти вопросы. Спасибо.
Thank you, and Mr. Mark Pritchard from UK, please, your last speaker from the hall.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Foreign Minister, for your comments. And Secretary General Greminger, I completely agree. We have an excellent President in George Serratelli and an excellent Secretary General in Roberto Montella. So thank you for your comments for the leadership of this organization. And can I thank you for the leadership of your organization? I'd like, if I may, to raise the issue of the Western Balkans, and in particular Albania. Political events are moving very rapidly in Albania, as you all know, and I just wonder what more this organization could do and the permanent mission can do to support the return of political stability in Albania, particularly given that they're going to be chairman of this organization in January next year. Thank you.
Well, thank you, dear colleagues. Now I'd like to ask Chairman in Office and Mr. Greminger, Secretary General, to respond to the questions. I don't know, order as you wish, as you like. Who will start first? Or you can divide questions. It's up to you.
Thank you very much for your questions. I'll take the floor first. And the first question came from Switzerland about the eastern Ukraine and particularly the Stanica-Luhanska bridge. First of all, I want to appreciate your activities. It's so important that you visit the places where people suffer from the conflict and you see them and you listen to them. That's so extremely important because sometimes I miss the link between us sitting in these halls and discussing and the people suffering on the ground. So we really have to measure the success or failure of our work by the impact on the people. So like you, I paid my first visit in my capacity of chairman office to Ukraine on the 15th of January. And after official meetings in Kiev, I went to visit the bridge. I talked to the people. I was depressed from what I saw. The impossible conditions for these people. People are dying of heart attack because of the conditions there. And then when you realize that it's also because of the lack of famous political will that we cannot agree on parameters of the reconstruction of the bridge, you realize that we have our responsibility for all this. So what I did after that visit was that together with my colleagues from the Secretariat, Ambassador Apakan, Ambassador Sadik, we put together a list of 9 confidence-building measures. And the number one on top of this list is the repairing of the Stanica-Luhanska bridge. The other measures are like humanitarian mine action, improvements of resumption of passenger communication, protecting civilian infrastructure, so on. I went to see Foreign Minister Klimkin and I went to see Foreign Minister Lavrov. I presented this list and we went point by point through this list and they said, yes, we can support this list. This is a good list. And unfortunately, the political situation that followed subsequently the preparation for the presidential elections did not allow us to proceed. But very soon after President Zelensky was elected and he took over his office, I visited him. It was in May. And again, I asked him to give his support to deliver on these 9 points, particularly the Stanica-Luhanska bridge, and he gave me his full support. He visited the bridge. He's bringing his visitors, most lately President of the European Council, Tusk, to see that. That's really so important. I really believe we have a window of opportunity thanks to the disengagement, which is the major success in the last 3 years, and I welcome this through my statement. We need to make sure that it's maintained. OSCE, through its monitoring mission, is monitoring withdrawal of troops, of weapons, demining in the area. And I really believe that instead of waiting for the violation of the current positive development, we should enter and do the reconstruction. We have the budget, we have the project, we don't need that much time. So believe me, this is not only the political, but also a personal priority for us and for me. And I will continue pushing for this. Your second question about the gender action plan. For us, the gender agenda is very important, and what we are trying to do as chairmanship is to integrate it into all aspects of our work. I can mention several concrete examples of our gender-related activities. We launched the Instagram competition called Women, Peace and the OSCE, competition of photographs presenting women in the OSCE area fighting for peace. And I opened this exhibition on the 24th of June in Vienna, and we will use this exhibition also to show and to better appreciate the work of women. We have last week we've co-hosted an event on women's role in nexus between environment and security. Former President of Ireland, Ms. Mary Robinson, was there. My special representative of gender, Ambassador Verver, traveled to Bosnia and Herzegovina to promote it. Yes, you are right. There is no political will to update the gender action plan, as there is no political will to do so many important and useful things in the OSCE. So hopefully the next year's 20th anniversary of the UN Security Council Resolution 1325 will increase the moral pressure on the participating states so that we will devote, or they will devote, more attention to this issue. We will do all we can in our current capacity for this. A colleague from Finland, the issue about the terrorism and the return of foreign fighters. Terrorism is among our priorities. Again, we have dedicated particular high-level conference on counter-terrorism with particular focus on preventing and countering violent extremism and radicalization. It was in March in Bratislava. issue of return of foreign fighters was also discussed in the OSCE. There is no agreement whether we should be in the lead or it should be the United Nations. So again, the discussion is there, the progress is not, and I'm really sorry to say that. Our colleague from the Russian Federation, I have to confirm that I do see growing differences in approach among participating states, and this is damaging, if not destroying, the multilateral system. I'm very worried about it, because verbally we are all in favor of multilateralism, but then when we come to meetings, we politicize, as the Secretary General spoke about it, we politicize issues that are not non-political by their nature. We are bringing our individual grievances or bilateral problems to block the work of the organization. And very often we show lack of respect for facts and also for the rules. And when one party is doing that, other parties are tempted to do the same. And this is the result. We have less consensus, less agreement. Right now we have problem to agree on the Human Dimensions Implementation meeting, which is the flagship meeting discussing the human rights situation in the OSCE area, the meeting with the widest possible presence of non-governmental organizations. Because of the lack of consensus, we do not have an agreement on the dates and on the agenda. So we are running the risk of not having this meeting for the first time ever, which would be a shame. But let me remind you that OSCE is a consensus-based organization, and we need a consensus of 57, so one country can block, and this is unfortunately happen way too often. A colleague from Ukraine asked about what prevents us, what prevents the institutions from visiting Crimea is the discussion about modalities. Let's put it very bluntly. It's about how to do it, how not to do it, and again, there has to be a consensual support, which is not in place. And what prevents us from discussing or addressing the problems of Ukraine? For us, for Slovakia's chairmanship, Ukraine is #1 priority. We made it very clear. As I said, I paid my very first visit in this capacity to Ukraine. I visited Ukraine twice in the 6 months. We are doing all we can. Of course, we are supporting the work of our monitoring mission on the ground. We are pushing the progress through the trilateral contact group, but wherever or every time when we need a consensual position of the 57 participating states, this is the end, because there is no consensus on this issue. But again, we need to be patient, we need to continue, we need to put these issues on the agenda, and we have to try to achieve progress, if not of monumental scale, then on a step-by-step approach. Because again, and I feel very strongly about it, in the end, it's the people. We can block, we can obstruct, but we can never explain this to the people who are suffering on the ground. And there are people suffering in the OSCE area because of our inaction, because of our blockages, because of our obstructions. So we have the responsibility. No, and we can point fingers at each other, but in the end, it's the shared responsibility for the lack of progress. Final point from the UK about Albania. I visited Albania in June. I spoke with the president, with the prime minister. We are observing the situation and monitoring the situation. The prime minister made it very clear when he told me that Albania has enough democratic maturity to deal with their problems using their national instruments. And I respect that. I really don't think it would help if we try to impose ourselves on Albania. When there is a request for an assistance, whichever form, advice, or whatever, we stand ready to do so. Right now, I trust the democratically elected authorities that they will address this issue in line with the OSCE standards and commitments. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, dear Minister. Now, please, the Secretary General, Thomas.
Well, perhaps on the question related to the disengagement in Solotay and Petrivske. Well, I think there needs to be a political resolve to proceed with disengagement in these two disengagement areas. I would argue, let's move step by step. I think it is important that we now can consolidate disengagement in Staniska Luganska and take advantage of this disengagement by, for instance, repairing the Staniska Luganska bridge. I also referred to the much more constructive climate in the trilateral contact group, and I think that is a good basis and a necessary basis then also to proceed with further disengagements. Right now, to tell you the truth, if you read reports of the Special Monitoring Mission to Ukraine, you see that there has even been an increase in military activities in both of these remaining disengagement areas. So I think what we see is also a lot of military posturing these days on both sides of the line of contact. On the 2004 plan of action, I can only support what Minister Lajczak has said. Of course, we would love to agree on an addendum to this 15-year-old plan, but we are a consensus-based organization, and if you have one or two participating states resisting, it makes this endeavor very challenging, which is not to say that we shouldn't keep trying. But I think where we have been focusing a lot of attention is in implementation of the plan, and here I would argue, not least to thanks to the strong support of the Slovak chairmanship, a lot has been happening lately, both led by chairmanship and also activities from within the Secretariat. I have just launched, for instance, a gender parity strategy. We are focusing very much now on contributing significantly to the 20th anniversary of UN Security Council Resolution 3025 next year. We are supporting many participating states in consolidating their national action plan to implement 1325. So this is to say, here a lot of things are happening on a daily basis. And perhaps on the question from the Ukrainian representative, yeah, I can only reiterate, we are a consensus-based organization, and I think that there was consensus 5 years ago for the creation of the Special Monitoring Mission to Ukraine was absolutely decisive for the operation of this mission, and this still remains valid for whatever this organization does. I think SNM can only operate safely if there is a support by the key stakeholders of the organization, which is not to say that the Crimean issue is not being discussed very, very regularly in the OSCE. I invite you to follow the discussions in the Permanent Council, in the Forum for Security Cooperation. So it's not that Crimea would not exist on the OSCE agenda, on the contrary. Thank you.
Thank you, dear Thomas. Dear colleagues, with this, I think we will conclude this part of our agenda. Once again, we'd like to thank and express our appreciation for being here, the Chairman in Office and Secretary General. We wish you success because your success is our success, and this is a success of our people. So you have many things to do tomorrow, day after tomorrow, with a ministerial meeting. We hope that there will be more common language between them as far as on their decisions and your decisions and decisions of many people here in the hall. It depends many things how they will be solved. So good luck. Thank you very much, dear Thomas, and keep our ties closer and keep our work, very active. Thank you very much again. Dear friends, dear colleagues, let's start another part of our agenda, and it's open general debate. I think that will be interesting part, as far as we have 60 speakers. It shows also interest in our issues and agendas. Don't forget that we have 17 SDGs, so it's adequate that it's relevant that we have 60 speakers. But from the beginning, I'd like to ask you to limit your speaking time, your intervention up to 3 minutes. That's a recommendation to, let's say, accommodate to all of speakers today and tomorrow. And I'd like to start now. If it's no objections, let's start it. First, it's again Margaret Cannon-Nellen, as it was in previous session. Please, Margaret, the floor is yours.
Merci, Monsieur le Président, chers et chers collègues. Dans ma brève intervention, j'aimerais me concentrer aujourd'hui sur l'élément de la participation des femmes dans tous les domaines liés à la paix et à la sécurité, y inclut la participation politique. Une étude du BIDDH de 2018 montre que dans la région de l'OSCE, seulement 10% des membres des forces armées sont des femmes et que ces femmes sont rarement présentes à des postes cadres. Ceci veut dire que 90% des dynamiques et des processus au sein des forces armées et des opérations militaires sont contrôlés et commandés par des hommes. Les chiffres sont aussi très bas quand nous regardons la médiation, où la présence des femmes reste marginale. Toutefois, les États participants s'engagent car ils ont réalisé que les choses ne bougeront pas toutes seules. 31 pays dans la région OSCE ont ainsi adopté des plans d'action nationaux pour la mise en œuvre de la résolution 1325 du Conseil de sécurité des Nations unies. Le secrétariat de l'OSCE s'active également sur la question et je salue concrètement 3 actions. Depuis bientôt 2 ans, les cadres du secrétariat à Vienne sont formés et sensibilisés par le Executive Gender Coaching Programme. Et ma question, Monsieur le Président, est celle de savoir si à notre secrétariat, il y a aussi une telle action. Deuxièmement, les effets positifs des réseaux et du mentoring ont été reconnus et bénéficient du soutien de la hiérarchie de l'organisation. Ainsi, un réseau établi entre les missions, les institutions et le secrétariat apporte son soutien au leadership national et local des États participants. Troisièmement, les organes politico-militaires comme le Forum pour la coopération et la sécurité et le Comité de sécurité, où la participation des femmes reste marginale, ont intégré une perspective de genre dans leurs agendas respectifs. Voici quelques indicateurs quand même encourageants. 20 ans après l'adoption de la résolution 1325, il reste néanmoins du travail à faire et demain, aujourd'hui et demain, dans l'élection des candidats à la présidence de notre Assemblée parlementaire, nous avons toutes et tous la possibilité d'élire la candidature qui s'engage pour la mise à l'emploi de la décision du Conseil de sécurité 1325. Je vous la recommande. Merci de votre attention.
Thank you very much, dear Margaret. We appreciate your call. This move, I just remind you, the previous president of this assembly was woman, so we are doing very well with the gender balance, and we'll do much more in coming years and coming months even. And if you'd like, tomorrow, when it will be also a report of Heidi Fry, our dear colleague and head of a special representative, I also will outline what we did and what we'll do for gender equality in this organization. Thank you. Another speaker here, Doris Barnett. Please, dear Doris.
Vielen Dank. Thank you very much, dear President. Since I heard that some of you might believe that I'm not able to speak in English, believe me, I can do that since I'm married since quite a while with an American, and that gives me the opportunity to talk with my American family quite often. However, let me speak in my in my mother tongue, and this is German because I'm a German delegate. Ja, liebe Kolleginnen, liebe Kollegen, zuerst möchte ich natürlich unseren Gastgebern danken, aber ich möchte auch daran erinnern, dass wir uns überlegen müssen, ob wir mit unserer Organisation so weitermachen können. Denn die Welt dreht sich rasant und wir sind im Mittelpunkt des Sturmes. Und das bedeutet auch für mich, dass wir die Herausforderungen, die sich uns stellen, ganz anders anpacken müssen. Der Klimawandel ist eine so massive, besorgniserregende Tatsache, dass wir hier reagieren müssen. Denn er bringt nicht nur Trockenheit, Wasserknappheit, Ernteverluste und so weiter, sondern er fördert ja praktisch auch dann Flüchtlingsströme. Das heißt, wir müssen alle zusammen hier gemeinsam uns bewegen. Und es ist dann auch eine Frage, ob wir uns weiterhin in den üblichen Blöcken bewegen oder ob wir dieses Blockdenken nicht irgendwann einmal überwinden. Denn wir haben halt nur diese eine Welt und wir müssen etwas tun für unsere Zukunft. Unsere Zukunft ist ja unsere Jugend. Und wir haben viel über Jugend gesprochen und immer wieder darauf bestanden, ja, wir holen die Jugend mit herein. Das ist richtig. Aber wo ist denn die Jugend? Die Jugend engagiert sich doch in allen unseren Ländern in den sogenannten NGOs. Ja, und was machen wir mit den NGOs? Wir halten sie, wenn es irgend geht, außen vor. Genau umgekehrt wird doch ein Schuh draus. Wir müssen diese Leute mit ihren Organisationen zu uns hereinholen, mit ihnen sprechen, sodass wir wissen, was sie für Vorstellungen haben. Wir müssen uns viel mehr mit unseren Problemen und ihnen auseinandersetzen, weil wir sind die Alten, wenn ich das so sagen darf. Aber wir müssen doch der Jugend eine geordnete Welt hinterlassen. Das können wir aber nicht in unserem alten Denken. Das heißt, wir müssen auch junge Leute anhören, von ihnen auch ein Stück weit Argumente übernehmen, wenn wir sie für gut halten, und dann auch in unsere Organisation bringen. Und deswegen würde ich mich freuen, wenn wir hier vielleicht auch ein Stück weit unsere Arbeit neu überdenken können und auch vielleicht eine neue Plattform gerade in Sachen Umweltschutz und Jugend einführen könnten. Vielen Dank.
Thank you. Thank you. Absolutely agree. And we should hear to youth more. And also when we are somewhere in our visits, we have to reach out to youth. We have to meet students, pupils. I did it a few times myself in different countries, and I think it's only enriching our knowledge and motivating us more. So fully agree, and we will accelerate work in this direction, of course. And it's also a chairmanship's priority. Mr. Azopardi from Malta, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Security and emerging challenges which threaten to undermine it have no borders. Thus, neither can they be understood nor controlled by any one country. One must stress that the best barrier against these threats is a well-functioning parliament that ensures transparency and accountability at all levels, and develops practical and effective action plans to improve governance. Yet the growing international dimension of these threats require parliamentarians to support instruments of international cooperation. Through sharing information and lessons learned, parliamentarians can take better informed decisions so that pitfalls already experienced by others will not be repeated. May I take this opportunity to encourage international parliamentary cooperation with a view to establishing an international code of conduct for business transactions. All stakeholders must play their part in promoting security in a globalized world where the systematic imperfections of one country may result in severe repercussions in other countries. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. And another speaker, Tatiana Ostrikova from Ukraine, please.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. We are confident that there must be no place for the use of force and attempts to change by force the internationally recognized borders in the 21st century. Ukraine, as a responsible international actor, remains fully committed to the norms and principles established in the United Nations Charter and the Helsinki Final Act. It is not by chance that every second resolution or speech here in our Parliamentary Assembly are mentioning Russian Federation and aggression in regards of Moldova, Ukraine, Georgia. Most of the OSCE region conflicts and wars are somehow related to Russia. No matter how many times Russia Federation is trying to look like a savior state, still most of us see their acts as acts of aggression and occupation of foreign territories. The scope of Russia's ongoing aggression against Ukraine continues to expand. Last year, it was supplemented by an act of aggression against Ukrainian military vessels near the Kerch Strait and severe impediments to the freedom of navigation in the Sea of Azov. These issues were duly reflected in our resolution as the most pressing security challenge affecting the whole region. It is the resolution on militarization by Russian Federation of the Republic of Crimea and Sevastopol, the Black Sea and the Sea of Azov, which was supported by the committee yesterday. And I would like to express my gratitude to every delegate of our Parliamentary Assembly who voted for this resolution on the committee. And I kindly ask all of you to support this resolution tomorrow on the plenary session. Here is just one fact you should know about violations of all international law principles in occupied territories of Ukraine. On July 1st, Russia-led forces fired an anti-tank guided missile at a medevac vehicle of Ukrainian joint forces. One soldier was killed and another, a military doctor, died later. This attack was conducted as a gross violation of all principles of international humanitarian law, and this was a very cynic answer to the ceasefire pronounced by Ukraine a day earlier. Despite the ongoing aggression, Ukraine remains committed to the peaceful resolution of the conflict based on the politico-diplomatic measures. Ukraine welcomes the order of the International Tribunal for the Law of the Sea to release 24 Ukrainian servicemen and 3 naval vessels illegally seized by Russia on November 25, 2018. We demand from the Russian Federation to implement this decision immediately and without any preconditions. Unfortunately, for already 5 years, Russia has demonstrated its total disregard to its international commitments. Thus, firm and consistent pressure of international community is crucial in order to achieve progress. And our resolution regarding militarization of Crimea is one of the examples of such political pressure. We urge you, do not stop on this and impose new sanctions on aggressor state. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. And next speaker, Mr. John Cornyn from U.S. Please, floor is yours. And next.
Thank you, Mr. President. Friends and colleagues, it's been 74 years since the atomic bomb was used on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Since then, humankind has developed even more powerful nuclear weapons. Civilized nations understand that nuclear weapons are an existential threat. That's why we must prevent lawless nations from using nuclear weapons to hold the rest of the world hostage. Iran is the antithesis of a responsible actor on the world stage. For decades, it has spread its violent extremism around the world. Now, the world's leading state sponsor of terrorism has made clear they do not intend to adhere to enrichment limits in the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action. Let me be clear, Iran can never be trusted with a nuclear weapon. People of goodwill can disagree on the wisdom of the JCPOA, which at best brought a temporary lull in Iran's nuclear weapons program, but it is clear that the Iranian regime sought sanctions relief while never intending to permanently ban the bomb. President Rouhani has said that Iran intends to exceed the limit on their stockpile of low-enriched uranium to any amount that we want, and that's a quote. Therefore, the United Nations must restore the snapback sanctions specifically designed under the JCPOA as a failsafe against Iran's duplicity. It's now time for our friends to make a decision. Option one is to join the United States in standing firm against an Iranian nuclear weapon. Invoke snapback sanctions under the JCPOA and make clear to the world that you refuse to be complicit in financing terrorism and nuclear proliferation. Option two is to do nothing and thus lend support to this rogue regime through continued trade and financial support of U.S. sanctioned activities and thus facilitate Iran's nuclear aspirations. We appeal to you to make the right decision. Appeasement of Iran will not prevent a nuclear war. It would rather make it more likely. I hope our friends will stand with the United States in the face of this urgent threat to global security. And I'd urge you to make our collective position clear that Iran will never be a nuclear state.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cornyn. Now, as I already announced, Margareta Sederfeld, and then will be followed by our colleague from Israel.
Thank you, Mr. President. As parliamentarians, we can do a lot. We can do a lot to promote peace, democracy, human rights, economy, anti-corruption, environment. We have the tools. We are the lawmakers. We can do much more than we believe. And also, if we use the OSCE portfolio, we already do a lot of the observer missions for the elections. We have the mediations. We have our special representatives. And we have, once again, the committees. But we can do more. And I think here about all these days where we have been debating, we are adopting resolutions, we are adopting supplementary items, and they include a lot of very useful things that we could implement and bring with us back home. If we did so, imagine what we could achieve. And we have raised this issue before to increase our contribution from these days, and I think we should move even further on this, because the work we do here, it's really something extra and something unusual, and we are the only one who could have impact and really increase our efforts on this and make difference. And that's my suggestion, to really increase for our Secretary General to continue the work to promote even more. And we do also have to do it as parliamentarians. For example, give our final papers to the speakers of our parliament, to give it to the leaders of our parties. Continue the work back home, not only support peace, democracy, human rights here. We have also to continue our work back home. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, dear Margareta. And as I announced now, it's Mr. Ben Barakram from Israel.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Ram Ben Barak. I am a member of the Knesset from the Blue and White Party. In the past, I was deputy head of the Israeli Mossad. I'm proud to be here with my colleague Ophir Katz and to represent the State of Israel in this, very important event. I consider it a great honor to take part in this forum. I am confident that Israel can contribute a lot to the international effort against terror. Terror has no borders. A terrorist could be in Afghanistan and carry out an attack in the heart of London. The complicated reality of terrorism in the age of social network and virtual currency along with the radicalism of the religious aspects in national identity, all this requires cooperation between intelligence, policies, and organization. Intelligence organization can receive information about terrorist attacks that begin in Israel, continue into Iraq, and carried out in Australia. The prevention of terrorism is a common interest of all countries. Cooperation can and should take place, even if there is no diplomatic relation between the countries. At the end of the day, providing harm to innocent civilians is the interest of all countries. Israel shares intelligence with intelligence organizations in Western countries and also with countries which we don't have a diplomatic relationship. About a year and a half ago, Israeli reported that a senior commander of ISIS in Syria had transferred explosives through Turkey with the intention to bring down a plane in Australia. This information provided by Israeli intelligence prevented a terror attack that could cost hundreds of lives. At the end of last year, the Israeli Mossad informed the intelligence organization in Denmark and Sweden about an Iranian attempt to carry out an attack in their countries. The information led the arrest of the terrorists, and explosives were found in their position. Of course, there are many other examples that I cannot detail here. Another warning issue is the refugees who are used by terrorist organizations bring terrorists into the West. We must carry out a joint international effort against this. We must develop use systems that synchronize between intelligence and informant organizations that can tell you who is standing in front of you anywhere in the world. In the world where biometric identity is unique, it is easy to obtain the required information. But the problem is that countries are not willing to share database of terror suspects. Another issue that we must consider is that the war in Afghanistan, Syria, and Iraq created a situation in which many of the foreign fighters are returned to their countries of origin with experience in terror, fighting, and crime. This is a problem of its own. Finally, I want to offer Israeli cooperation to all states in the fight against terrorism. During the 75 years of its existence, Israel has gained a great deal of experience in the fight against terrorism at the local, regional, and the international levels. Israel is willing to share this knowledge and experience with all the countries that are part of this organization, even with countries which we don't have diplomatic relations. I believe the joint effort against terrorism can serve as a bridge between the countries and people. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. We appreciate all the contributions that you and other Mediterranean partners are offering and providing in our work in counterterrorism or other issues, migration. So we would like to continue this cooperation with you. Now, Mr. Guliev, followed by Mr. Slutsky.
Thank you very much. Thank you, dear President, dear colleagues. First of all, I'd like to thank the Grand Duchy and the Chamber of Deputies of Luxembourg for such an amazing organization of this 28th annual session and hospitality extended to all of us. We have had very productive discussions, which resulted in adoption of a number of important documents. This is a clear evidence of the relevance of the OEC Parliamentary Assembly and needs to be appreciated. I am pleased that the Assembly, in its relevant resolutions, once again demonstrated that it stands up for the principles, commitments, and values of this important organization. Today, we send a strong signal to the entire OEC area that our principles and commitments must be applied equally and unreservedly. We reaffirmed that the Helsinki Final Act principles, in particular those related to sovereignty, territorial integrity, and inviolability of internationally recognized borders of states, are the basis for the resolution of conflicts among participating states. We have also recognized that the human rights and fundamental freedoms are universal and should be exercised equally with regard to all our citizens without any discrimination on ethnic or religious grounds. This is especially true for the protection of human rights of internally displaced persons expelled from their homes as a result of conflicts. I am pleased that we reaffirmed the significance of our cooperation in fostering economic growth and prosperity for our citizens. We underlined the importance of diversification of energy sources and their supply routes. We held fruitful meetings of the Silk Road Support Group on the margin of the annual session, which is aimed at strengthening connectivities through transport and trade facilitation. The group is an efficient platform for promoting dialogue and cooperation, ensuring the parliamentary oversight, and I welcome that more and more countries join this important platform. The session demonstrated that despite all the differences and divergent views that we may have, the parliamentarians can still unite around the common cause of promoting rules-based international order from Vladivostok to Vancouver, where we will meet next year to continue our discussions on how we can strengthen our security and cooperation together. Thank you once again for your cooperation. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Guliev, for your intervention. Another speaker, Mr. Slutsky, followed by our colleague from Hungary, Mr. Шагензалан. Please.
Спасибо, господин Церетели. Завершается наша ежегодная сессия, и сейчас мы участвуем в завершающей дискуссии. Для нас чрезвычайно важно продолжать работу на площадке Организации по безопасности и сотрудничеству в Европе и в ее парламентской ассамблее. Сегодня на повестке дня в мировой политике и сегодняшней системе международных отношений, на повестке дня нашей панатлантической организации, которая имеет огромный опыт и традиции, самые непростые вопросы, связанные со стратегической стабильностью, связанные с новой европейской конструкцией 21-го столетия, связанные с теми новыми вызовами и угрозами, которые сегодняшние реалии диктуют каждому из нас, и в том числе парламентариям. Это противодействие международному терроризму, трафику наркотиков, исходящему из Афганистана, как отметил американский коллега, и многое другое. Для того, чтобы быть вместе в этих вопросах, а иначе их невозможно решить, необходимо преодолеть те проблемы, которые, к сожалению, пока накапливаются и не объединяют, как всегда наша организация объединяла страны, а наоборот воздвигают искусственные границы между странами ввиду непонимания тех вопросов, которые сегодня нас, к сожалению, разводят по разные стороны здравого смысла. Что касается Абхазии и Южной Осетии, мы должны понимать, я в третий раз взываю к здравому смыслу членов Ассамблеи, что статья номер 1, фундаментальная статья Устава Организации Объединенных Наций, ценности и принципы, которые мы все разделяем, именно о праве народов на самоопределение, на самостоятельное решение того, каким образом эти территории и эти народы будут жить дальше. Необходимо проводить семинары и конференции с участием населения этих территорий. Давайте послушаем их. Они действительно испытывают какие-то проблемы, как нам здесь рассказывают представители грузинской делегации, занимающие высокие посты в нашей ассамблее. Или ситуация совершенно иная. То же самое. Мы все в университетах учили диалектику, Первый закон ее гласит «Единство и борьба противоположностей». Я согласен парадоксальным образом с господином Чубаровым. Пожалуйста, пусть смешанная мониторинговая миссия приедет в Крым и убедиться, что все то, что произносит господин Чубаров на площадке парламентской ассамблеи, это абсолютная ложь. То, что сегодня там притесняются крымские татары, то, что какие-то заключенные, то же самое. Но проблема в том, что к этим выводам смешанной мониторинговой миссии ОБСЕ мы можем прислушаться так же мало, как прислушаемся к 8 докладам по юго-востоку Украины и продолжаем твердить про вооружение из России и многие другие вещи, имеющие абсолютно нулевой смысл, как то выполнение или невыполнение России Минских соглашений, стороной которых она не является. Она является их инициатором и гарантом, но не может их выполнять или не выполнять. Поэтому мы должны действительно теснее работать друг с другом. Мы должны больше слушать жителей тех проблемных территорий, о которых мы так много говорим в Люксембурге, в Вене и за тысячи километров от этих территорий. Мы должны быть вместе, и в этом это историческая роль, предписанная нам нашими избирателями. Парламентарии должны быть вместе на площадке парламентской ассамблеи и преодолеть эти застарелые разногласия. Спасибо.
Please, dear colleagues, please stick with the speaking time, 3 minutes, please, and then I already announced our colleague from Hungary. Dear George, floor is yours.
Thank you for the floor, Mr. President. Conflicts may arise not only from political and military threats, but also from economic tensions, social insecurity, as well as deficiencies in relation to the rule of law and protection of human rights and fundamental freedoms, all relevant for the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals. Parliamentarians have a crucial role in ensuring that the OSCE work stays focused on people. Apart from the SDG 1, of the most acute challenges is the crisis in and around Ukraine. The conflict in eastern Ukraine and several measures taken by the former Ukrainian government affected the life of the national minorities living in Ukraine, including the Hungarian minority living in Transcarpathia. It is of utmost importance for us to resolve the current crisis in Ukraine through peaceful negotiations based on the full implementation of the Minsk agreements. Hungary has been providing various forms of support to Ukraine to help overcome the difficulties it is facing. At the same time, Hungary expects the Ukrainian government to allow the Transcarpathian Hungarians to live in peace in their homeland and to enjoy their already acquired rights as national minorities living in Ukraine. We are hopeful that we will be able to resolve our bilateral issues with the newly elected President of Ukraine, Mr. Zelensky, who has been expressing his openness to resolve the issue. We appreciate that and look forward to continuing dialogue with him. Many resolutions and reports do not address the rights of national minorities, although many other vulnerable groups, namely the children, women, Roma, migrants, people with disabilities, LGBTI persons are mentioned in the text. We found it problematic that while we are dealing with the questions of many different vulnerable groups, we do it at the expense of national minorities. We deem it important that resolutions of the third committee or the OSCE should always include an explicit reference to the enforcement of the rights of persons belonging to national minorities. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So I'd like to ask to take floor Ms. Susana Amador from Portugal.
Yes, Mr. Chair, many thanks. Dear colleagues, I would like to speak a little bit about the gender dimension in asylum policies and the role of parliaments. In determining the refugee status, it's an imperative to mainstream the gender dimension and to comply with existing UNHCR and Council of Europe recommendations in terms of the needs and specificities of women. It turns out that even when laws and policies are gender sensitive, this does not always mean that they are implemented effectively. So it's crucial to monitor and obtain information on compliance with the national, European, and international legislative building in this field. It will be very important for our parliaments to be able to demand from national governments more commitments and more detailed information on the gender dimension in asylum policies, namely to take responsibility for drawing up in an independent way an annual report on asylum policy to be sent to the national parliaments for proper consideration in parliamentary debate, to elaborate several indicators such as the evaluation of the respective process of integration and permanence in the territory, include detailed statistical and qualitative information on asylum applications of women and girls with special protection needs arising from discrimination or gender-based persecution, and ensure effective psychological and professional support to refugee women, in particular victims of sexual abuse and persecuted on gender basis. Integration should begin on the path and continue to be fostered, with language learning being essential and having the possibility of practicing a perfection. The role of women in integration of the whole family is crucial, and this also presupposes adequate accommodation for the family. The role of NGOs and civil society is equally central in the integration of refugee women. It is essential that the concept of equality for women in Europe be built on common grounds: respect for human rights, social justice, and democracy. Education and training for women and girls from migrant communities needs to be promoted within these communities. We need to enforce our human dimension and meaningful dialogue, because it's always the key. I know that in OSCE we are able to do this. Values and respect for human rights must prevail. I'm sure that they will here on our organization. Many thanks.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, really. And now I'd like to ask Mr. Konjaran from Armenia to take floor. I'm sorry, followed by Mr. Nazarov, Rahmatullah Nazarov from Uzbekistan.
Thank you very much. Mr. President, dear colleagues, following the recent days of intensive discussions, I would like to share some initial remarks. We appreciate the attention of this year's annual session to the topic of sustainable development in context of security. We firmly believe that upholding human rights and fundamental freedoms is necessary prerequisite for sustainable development and security. Sustainable development, human rights and security are closely interlinked, and we approach the discussions in the Parliamentary Assembly with this understanding. I am pleased to note that this perception is shared by a wide majority of my colleagues. I would like to particularly recall the motto of 2030 Agenda, leaving no one behind. This important commitment of the international community should be translated into concrete actions. We need to identify measures to alleviate the daily suffering of people affected by conflicts, in particular those who live in conflict zones, as most vulnerable. There should be no gray zones in the OSCE area when it comes to protection of human rights, including right to life, right to development. According to the international human rights law, people are entitled to their human rights, including social and economic rights by the virtue of the right to self-determination, and in no case they may be deprived of their own means of subsistence. Attempts to isolate people living in conflict areas from outer world and hamper full realization of their human rights should receive adequate response from the international community. An important measure in this regard is full and unrestricted access of the OSCE institutions, Council of Europe, and UN special procedures to the conflict areas. We encourage the Parliamentary Assembly to support the efforts aimed at addressing the plight of people living in conflict areas and assist them in realization of their basic human rights. Strengthening of the OSCE engagement in our region, efficient use of the status-neutral OSCE toolbox and mechanism can have a positive impact on the security situation, promote de-escalation, and create conducive environment for tackling long-standing disputes. Thank you very much.
Thank you indeed, dear Haik, and now dear Rahmatullah Nazarov, please, followed by Ms. Serena Moborn.
Уважаемый председатель, члены парламентской ассамблеи, уважаемые участники заседания, рад возможности выступить перед столь представительной аудиторией. От имени узбекской делегации искренне благодарим наших люксембургских коллег и Международный секретариат парламентской ассамблеи ОБСЕ за прекрасную организацию данного мероприятия. Республика Узбекистан находится сегодня на важном этапе коренных динамичных преобразований. Под руководством президента Республики Узбекистан Шавката Мирзиёева в нашей стране происходит кардинальная трансформация всех сфер жизни. Их цель – укрепление демократического правового государства, социально ориентированной рыночной экономики и справедливого гражданского общества, в котором главной целью являются права, свободы и законный интерес человека. Расширяются полномочия парламента и политических партий, усиливается подотчетность исполнительной власти и прозрачность ее деятельности, развиваются гражданские институты. Предпринимаются значительные шаги по совершенствованию национальной системы защиты прав и свобод человека, укреплению независимости судебно-правовой системы. Положен конец практике использования детского и принудительного труда. Последовательно выполняются рекомендации Совета ООН по правам человека, договорных органов, Верховного комиссара ООН по правам человека и специального докладчика ООН по вопросу о свободе религии и убеждений. Узбекистан достиг существенного прогресса в сфере обеспечения религиозных свобод и впервые за 13 лет не является страной, вызывающей особую обеспокоенность. В этом плане мы хотели выразить признательность нашим американским коллегам за то, что вот последний доклад был учтен те преобразования и реформы, которые проводятся в Узбекистане. Во внешней политике Узбекистана инициировал новый курс в отношении своих соседей, в основе которой лежат такие принципы, как стремление к миру, добрососедству, сотрудничеству и укреплению региональной стабильности. Благодаря общей политической воле руководителей стран Центральной Азии за последние годы произошли исключительно важные подвижки, прямо влияющие на ситуацию и на жизнь людей. После десятилетий практического отсутствия многостороннего диалога на высшем уровне возобновлена практика официальных и неформальных контактов глав государств Центральной Азии. За последние 3 года Узбекистан и государства региона обменялись в общей сложности 20 визитами глав государств. Уважаемые дамы и господа, в условиях стремительных изменений в Узбекистане Парламентская ассамблея области рассматривается как важная площадка налаживания конструктивного диалога, расширения межпарламентских связей с государственным участником Парламентской ассамблеи ОБСЕ. Пользуясь возможностью, хотел бы выразить признательность ОБСЕ и всем государственным участникам за поддержку проводимых в Узбекистане широкомасштабных реформ, а также усилия по демократизации общества и укреплению верховенства права. К примеру, успешным проведением в ноябре 2018 года в городе Самарканде Азиатский форум по правам человека, посвященного 70-летию принятия Всеобщей декларации прав человека. По итогам этого мероприятия был подписан меморандум между парламентом Узбекистана, БДИПЧ и ОБСЕ, координатором проекта ОБСЕ в Узбекистане. В общем, чтобы не занимать ваше больше времени, я хотел вот обратить такой основной момент наших коллег. В конце этого года в Узбекистане пройдут парламентские выборы. И я думаю, в настоящее время мы ведем достаточно такую кропотливую работу, но в то же время необходимо сделать еще многое. Поэтому мы приглашаем парламентскую ассамблею области, ДИПЧ и всех наших партнеров для участия в этих парламентах в качестве наблюдателей. Спасибо еще раз за предоставленную возможность высказаться. Благодарю за внимание.
Thank you very much, dear Rahmatullah, even for this invitation. I think it will be followed by a formal one, and we are always, happy and keen to come to Central Asia, especially, of course, to Uzbekistan for election observation or other activities, and be sure that we will be, in touch on those issues, of course, very seriously. Thank you again, and now, the floor is yours.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Chers collègues, tout d'abord, je voulais remercier le Luxembourg pour la remarquable organisation de cette session annuelle, dont le thème se proposait d'étudier le rôle des parlements dans la relation qui existe entre sécurité et développement durable. Je souhaiterais axer mon intervention sur la question de l'eau, qui a également été le thème d'un amendement proposé lors de la session à la deuxième commission qu'elle a bien voulu adopter. Ce thème de l'eau, tant dans son aspect ressources naturelles que dans sa dimension de catastrophe naturelle. Je pense ici par exemple aux récentes inondations qu'ont connues le Canada, les États-Unis ou en dehors de notre zone le Japon, est un enjeu crucial de notre région. Si par chance jusqu'à maintenant la question de l'accès à l'eau et des conditions environnementales plus généralement n'ont été source d'aucun conflit, il existe des zones de tension comme par exemple Israël et la Palestine ou encore l'Asie centrale, même si, notamment grâce à l'action de l'OSCE et du Centre de prévention des conflits, les choses semblent s'améliorer. Jusqu'alors, la raison l'a toujours emporté. Le meilleur exemple en est l'accord entre l'Éthiopie et l'Égypte sur les eaux du Nil. Il nous appartient de maintenir cet état de fait en utilisant tous les moyens et instruments dont nous disposons, et particulièrement les accords bilatéraux ou multilatéraux, comme en renforçant les coopérations entre États et entre organisations internationales. S'agissant toujours de l'eau, je tiens à rappeler à tous les États membres, à les appeler à veiller à faire figurer sur les cartes, les plans, les localisations de canalisation d'eau, afin d'éviter de les anéantir à l'occasion de conflits par exemple. Détruire la fourniture ou l'accès à l'eau est injustifiable, même en période de conflit, car cela ne nuit qu'aux populations civiles qui ne sont en rien responsables de ces conflits. Il n'est par ailleurs pas acceptable de volontairement casser des canalisations d'eau pour contraindre les populations à se retourner contre leurs gouvernants. L'eau est indispensable à la vie, il est criminel de priver des populations d'eau. L'eau est un facteur essentiel de développement, de stabilité et de paix. C'est pourquoi l'on parle d'hydrodiplomatie. Aussi, j'appelle tous les États membres à ne porter atteinte sous aucun prétexte à ces équipements vitaux et à ordonner à leurs militaires de ne pas le faire. Je vous remercie pour votre attention.
Thank you. Merci beaucoup. Now, I was informed that our interpreters generously can provide another 10 minutes, so we could ask 2 or 3 speakers. Before we conclude, now Victor Dobre from Romania, our Vice President. Please, Victor, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen. It is clearly stated that the role of our Assembly is to advance the OSCE goals of comprehensive security and to promote greater involvement in the OSCE by national parliaments in the participating states. Therefore, we cannot approach the timely general theme without looking in the depth of the OSCE. In other words, our Assembly's efficiency is directly related with its contribution on improving the capacity of the OSCE to fulfill its historical commitments. I would refer in not more than 5 phrases at a single aspect, which is beyond doubt mandatory for advancing sustainable development to promote security. Freedom of the press and freedom of the media are fundamental guarantees of the development of any functioning democratic society. OSCE participating states have the obligation to take active measures in order to protect journalists, including support staff, bloggers, citizen journalists against persecution, violence, and threats to their security. Of course, we are deploring the recent numerous cases of murdered journalists, which we consider to be attacks on journalist freedom. But if we look our general theme, we have to agree that national parliaments have also the responsibility to ensure oversight over governmental action regarding journalists, murders, imprisonment, and of ill treatment. And if none will speak against to what I have just said, I will reiterate here my invitation made a few days ago in the first session of the Third General Committee. Dear parliamentary colleagues, when you will return in your countries, make use of the existing parliamentary tools to back and oversee your governments, among others, on their approach concerning the freedom of the press and of the media. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, dear Victor. And the next speaker, Mr. Olim Salimzadeh from Tajikistan.
Уважаемый господин председатель, дамы и господа, разрешите выразить благодарность организаторам летнего заседания Парламентской ассамблеи ОБСЕ за гостеприимство и создание благоприятной рабочей обстановки. Как известно, со времени прошлого заседания по сей день в регионе ОБСЕ и в целом на планете Земля, которая является нашим общим домом, произошли события политико-экономического и социально-культурного характера, которые коснулись большинства стран, членов Парламентской ассамблеи ОБСЕ. Сегодняшнее наше заседание создает благоприятные возможности для того, чтобы мы смогли обсудить вопросы, представляющие интерес Парламентской ассамблеи и стран-членов ОБСЕ, дать объективную оценку и конкретизировать дальнейшие направления деятельности с учетом интересов наших народов. Неутешительная и продолжающаяся военно-политическая обстановка в соседнем Афганистане, где еще расположились религиозные и экстремистские группы и тренировочные базы террористов и диверсантов, стала весьма чувствительной. С другой стороны, прибытие террористов так называемого исламского государства в Афганистан и осуществление ими различных видов транснациональных преступных, в том числе незаконный оборот наркотических средств, похищение людей, торговля, контрабанда оружием, что является одним из источников финансирования преступленных организаций, намного осложняет задачу. Воспользуясь представленной возможностью, хотел изложить позицию Республики Таджикистан относительно этой многострадальной страны. Таджикистан всесторонне поддерживает международную стратегию по разрешению проблем и постконфликтного обновления в Афганистане. Мы должны усилить свое содействие правительству Исламской Республики Афганистан после выхода международных миротворческих сил из этой страны. Важным фактором в этом направлении является привлечение этой страны к региональному сотрудничеству путем экономического и торгового сотрудничества с соседними странами. Мы подчеркиваем большое значение осуществления транспортных, коммуникационных и энергетических проектов, содействующих региональному экономическому развитию. И потому Республика Таджикистан, наряду с активным участием в сотрудничестве стран, ведущих борьбу с терроризмом, считает важным объединение усилий по устойчивости, безопасности и стабильности в регионе и в мире. Спасибо за внимание.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, dear Mr. Salim Sudan. And last speaker for today's session will be Nilsa Sena from Portugal, our Vice President. Please, Nilsa.
Thank you very much, dear President, dear colleagues. Nowadays, we know that we will be multi-planet species with lifespan of 110 years. We are entering an age also where it will be soon difficult to differentiate between the physical and the digital. The next few decades will undergo the biggest and fastest transformations ever in technology, in science, but also in interpersonal relations. In the future, all expectations are exponential. The rise of machine. We'll have computers with the capacity of human brains. My question is, will society keep up with technology's evolution? We will have great parents. How do we preserve humanity? For instance, social media really connect people in real way? No. Social media is about predicting or influencing our future behavior because we tend to act according to our statistical profile. So digital apps help to improve solidarity? I think no. And then they try to humanize technology. And why is that? Technology as human as possible is what for? For me, it seems to be human beings are the problem and technology is the solution. We should stop use technology to optimize human beings like a market. This is unpopular, I know. But what kind of world is that when computers are smarter than people? This is totally insecure. And then can mean that we accept extinction. I am not, and I want to stress this, I am not rejecting the digital or the technologies, but I'm rejecting to see people as adversaries. And I want to see adversaries as people with values, spreading values through a community, engaging society that don't repress creativity in the name of productivity. And we should together build a world where we don't need a place to escape from. And the first step is use technology as a simple tech and use technology not to replace humanity. Why? Because that's impossible. Thank you.
Thank you very much, dear Nilsa. With this last intervention, we concluded our session. Thank you very much, dear colleagues, for your active work. It was really important interventions, questions, and our guests today. So we will continue tomorrow. Please be here at 9 o'clock, so we will start and continue our debates. And of course, tonight we will enjoy another reception offered by our Luxembourgish colleagues, friends, and delegation of Luxembourg. Thank you very much. See you tomorrow.